Hello, everyone, and welcome to P1 Broadcasting and Circuit of the Americas. It is the Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series, and we are live from what is known as the NASCAR West Circuit here at COTA. That's right; they do not run the full loop here, Caleb. They take a hard left at what would be turn 7 on the Formula One cars, and they cut out about half the circuit.
Yeah, it kind of makes I would say a boring type road course here, Murph, especially with how big and bulky these Grand National cars are. They took away a large portion of that back straightaway. You know, it was a large overtaking opportunity for any racing series that does go here. And it kind of transformed it into a bull style road course. And with this specific layout that we are doing here today, you can kind of abuse a lot of the track limits here, Murph.
Yeah, you can abuse the track limits, you can abuse the tires, you can abuse the bumpers, you can abuse it all, and we're probably gonna see it. So where we're at is we're gonna see the short course tonight. So they're going to go through about half of the S's. They're gonna make a left at what would be turn 7. They're gonna cut over toward a very short portion of the back straight, and then they're going to go through the stadium section as normal as you see it. The signature corner here is turn number 1. You start at the bottom of the hill at what would be turn 20 on the full course. You go up the hill charging toward turn 1, Caleb, and you make a hard left, and it is a signature corner in all of motor racing.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's kind of one of the two hairpins on a normal course. The only hairpin, a really sharp hairpin, is at turn 1. It's really the only one. There, of course, is another one on the east side of the course that we are not running here today. And they kind of mirror each other a little bit. You know, they're both left-handers, but this turn 1 kind of gives me a little bit of Red Bull Ring turn 1 vibes, as well as the turn 3 there. It's kind of like a mixture of the two, to where they're very, very sharp and go uphill and kind of open up on exit.
It is. It reminds me, Circuit of the Americas was designed in part by 1993 motorcycle world champion Kevin Schwantz. And this corner with its wide nature, multiple apexes, and very narrow exit, it kind of reminds me of a great corner for motorcycles more so than cars. Have you ever seen a bikes run here? It's a signature. The cars look amazing going through here, but if you ever see the motorcycles run here, it is it is wild to see the MotoGP bikes go through this corner. The AMA, speaking of cars going through this corner, has raced here only once. The fastest lap held by Ryan O'Donoghue, a minute 40.067. The fastest time in practice currently is just a little bit off of that. The track slowing down just a little bit as cars get some rubber, some marbles on the course. The temperature just about perfect, 70 in the air, 75 on the track. Relative humidity 57%, partly cloudy. You could not ask for a better night in iRacing than you could tonight for this event. The track record here, which I don't think we're going to get to, a minute 36, 169, set by Charles Leclerc in a Ferrari SF90 2019 at the United States Grand Prix. If we scroll all the way down the list, we're going to get to the NASCAR Cup record. The full course track record is 2 minutes 11.549. On the NASCAR circuit, the Cup record, a minute 39.244. For the Grand National cars, the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, a minute 39.728. So we're kind of in the neighborhood of that, Caleb.
Yeah, very similar lap times. Of course, NASCAR layout being significantly shorter than what the Formula One cars do, but doesn't mean that's technically worse here, Murph. I guarantee you we will see a lot of side-by-side racing here at COTA. A lot. Again, I described this layout specifically as a bull ring type road course. We'll see a lot of bumping and banging, and it should be a good time here.
Have you ever seen, and I know it's probably before your time, but have you ever seen replays of the old like mid-late 80s, early 90s NASCAR Cup races at like Riverside or Sonoma? Um, this is, to me, going to be kind of like that, where you've got a predominantly oval series full of predominantly oval drivers, and we're gonna see a lot of action. We're gonna see a lot of side by side. We're gonna see a lot of door slamming. We're gonna see a lot of guys going off course. We're gonna see more than one car backwards. We're going to see a lot of stuff, just simply because this is not what most of these drivers do on the daily, weekly iRacing grind, Taylor.
You're absolutely right there. This is when you get a series like this and they go to a road course, every few times, you always get that road course ringer to where they always show their talents. Of course, the real life counterpart currently being SVG, dominating the Cup Series, getting astounding, I believe, six wins last year, Murph, on the road courses.
Yeah, they were all on road courses. He won all of them here in the AMA. Peyton Howell right now is the quickest, a minute 40.096, followed by Ryan O'Donoghue, a minute 40.993. I was joking with him earlier, Caleb. I said he needed to pick up a second so that he could go to the top of the charts. Riley Lean, Ro Alvis, and Greg Evans round out your top five. Bladen Edwards, Kendall Paul, Troy Carricker, Sam Crow, and David Dunwoody through the top 10, but you're going to see a massive spread in speeds. You go down to P20, Ted Craven, the Teddy Bear, 12 seconds adrift of Peyton Howell. And so there's going to be lap traffic in this one. The leaders are going to have to navigate slower cars for certain sure.
Yeah, so that's sometimes easier on the oval side. You got long, big straightaways. A lot of the time, and you're just able to kind of sail past them. Around here, usually they're on the road courses. There is common courtesy to somewhat get out of the way, but sometimes, especially with my experience of multi-class racing, sometimes they just catch you in the wrong spot and you might lose not only, not just a tenth, but sometimes you may lose entire seconds being held up by lap traffic in only just a handful of corners.
Oh, for sure. Areas where that's going to happen from turn 2 down through turn 6. The S is part of the course, the Maggots Beckett's replica here at COTA from Silverstone. It's very difficult to get a pass done through there. If you get caught behind somebody anywhere from turn 12 all the way through turn 17 and 18, you have no choice. That's the stadium section there. You have no choice almost but to follow them. And you're right. You don't lose tenths. You don't lose a half a second. You lose full seconds, and it's because there's simply nowhere for them to let you go, and there's nowhere for you to get by them, and that's where you're going to see drivers resorting to using the bumpers. That's where you're going to see drivers get angry. You're going to see tempers flare. You're going to hear, on your side, you're going to hear drivers raising their ire over the voice chat just because they can't get by. And so that's part of road course racing, and again, it kind of reminds me of NASCAR racing when they would go to road courses back in the mid late 80s, early 90s, my childhood. There would be 3 or 4 guys, Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd, Dale Earnhardt, that were pretty good road racers, and then there would be a lot of guys that they were rolling the car half through the grass the whole time, just trying to keep it straight, keep it on the road, score a finish, and get out of town. And that's what we're going to see from a lot of these drivers tonight too. It's going to make for an interesting race, Caleb.
Yes, it absolutely will. One thing that's going to be interesting this time around, we do have stages. We still have stages on the road courses. However, that third stage in which we saw the last 2 races, we got a green flag pit stop. It basically these cars can go the distance in all 3 stages. The stages being divided by 20 laps and then lap 40, and then 25 laps at the end, and makes 65 laps in total. In my testing, we were able to get about 30 laps of fuel, so we shouldn't be expecting too many green flag pit stops unless of emergencies, we'll say.
Yeah, and the other thing is you're going to have an extra. You're not going to have an extra set of tires, and so we'll see how that plays out. But you're not going to have to save a set either. We are ready to head on to the qualifying session. We're going to see who exactly is going to win that, who exactly is going to win that SimShop Pole Award. For all of your sim racing gear needs, visit SimShop, www.simshop.com. And this is the SimShop 250 from Circuit of the Americas. Let's ride them. We're going to find a road course guy uh, to to do our qualifying with. Let's see Troy Character go out here. He ran very well in nearly all of the road courses last year. Of course, he's got G-Max on the side of that machine tonight. Let's jump into Troy's car, or onto Troy's car, and we'll roll around Circuit of the Americas. He's going to take it very easy on this outlap, going through turns 3, 4, there's 5 and 6. And then turn 6A is right here. This is where they take the cutoff. So they avoid the long Formula One course. They rejoin at 6B. And then it's a straight shot down to turn 12. And this is where Character is going to open up a little bit, try to get some heat in those tires, Caleb.
Yeah, it's a very twisty section that's coming up here. It's kind of like a double apex horseshoe that kind of mirror each other. First one to the right, second one to the left, before going through the long right-hander. I think it's normally turn 17, 18 on the normal layout. Here, I believe it's turn 15 with this long right-hander that Troy's going to take here. Flat out in most cars, but you'll have to do a lot of throttle management as throughout this right-hander, and then two somewhat 90-degree left-handers to finish off the lap here.
You know who we're missing tonight? Logan Edwards. He's off running the Elite Racing League IndyCar race tonight, but we're missing Logan. He had been a dominant force. Your teammate over at Luke Mansky had been a dominant force on these road courses in this series. But here comes Troy Character. He's going to go up the hill, and look at how tall that hill is toward turn number 1.
I've been here at the track in real life as we see Troy get a little bit loose on exit there through the apex. I've been here once in real life, and I gotta say, there is that simulation pictures don't do it justice at how steep that thing is. It seems like you're on another level entirely when you look up at that corner. It's kind of the same vibes that you get through the last corner at tracks like Road Atlanta, even the front straightaway at Road America. But here, it's a corner, so it's kind of a tricky thing to kind of navigate. It's not like a normal hairpin. You're going uphill towards the braking zone. It's going to help the car slow down. However, the car is going to get really, really light on that apex there, and it really wants to step out on exit, as we actually saw Troy do on his first lap as he navigates turn 13 here.
We do indeed. He's going through turn 13, headed toward 16, 17, and 18. This is a triple apex corner, kind of a replica of the famous corner at the Turkish Grand Prix circuit. And then hard on the brakes for 19. You're going to get a little bit squirt of the throttle. You go over the rumble strips into the runoff, back across onto the racetrack proper, brake hard for turn number 20. That's another 90-degree left-hander. And then charge toward the start-finish line. Troy Character is going to come under the checkered flag, and he will set his car into the second spot behind Sam Crow, 144.886. Sam Crow is your current pole sitter. Here comes Ryan O'Donoghue. We'll jump on board him. He was second quick in practice, and so here's Ryan O'Donoghue seeing if he can't best teammate Sam Crow and put his car at the top of the board.
Yeah, we see him navigate the last few corners here. And again, we kind of briefly mentioned earlier, Murph, unlike the Formula One layout, or actually a lot of the other layouts and other sanctioning bodies that run here at COTA, here with this NASCAR layout, you can abuse quite a bit of the track track limits, as we see Ryan O'Donoghue take it to the top of the board, a 141, the only one to actually get lower than 143, and he nearly goes 2 seconds faster than Ken Dalbala, who's currently in second. Absolutely incredible lap from Ryan. But you can abuse a lot of the track limits here. You're able to take a lot more of the curbing that's on each side of the track, and you're really able to use that advantage. And the one thing you really want to do with these cars is you want to try to straight line the corners as much as possible, and not make a sharpest corner if you can avoid it.
Yeah, they don't turn nearly as well as the Formula cars that the track was designed for. As a matter of fact, and O'Donoghue's going to abort his lap. He missed. He missed. He missed turn 11, I believe. Turn 12, turn 13, turn 12, and he just said he's done. So Ryan O'Donoghue is going to head back to the pit lane and not improve on his time. Here comes Greg Evans. We'll hop aboard his car, jump up on the roof can of the Sim Magic machine. This track was marketed and billed when the Indy cars ran here as No Limits Texas, where they famously removed all track limits and said, if it's paved, you can race on it. And that tradition has kind of held for the stock cars here too. There's really not much in terms of track limits enforced here. You can't deliberately shortcut anything, but they don't really enforce it all that much, just running wide.
The kind of, I don't even think, I think IndyCar was actually the first ones to kind of do that. They actually ran the full course layout, but they, from my memory, cut a lot of the track and were really abusing the exits. Not so much the apex of corners, but they were really abusing the exits of the ends
Yeah,
of the
they
straightaways,
essentially,
final couple corners.
yeah, essentially what they would do is they would only enforce track limits at the apex, so you couldn't cut the corner, but you could run as wide as you wanted to on exit. So when the Indy cars came here, and the stock cars do the same thing. For example, they basically told the drivers in that race, if it's paved, race on it, and you would see them. Um, you would see them, for example, like right here, they would run all the way out to the sand on the edge of the course here, and then dart back onto the racetrack. It was interesting to watch, really, because they would abuse the absolute mess out of the track. Here, you know, you can abuse it. The trick is though, just because you're abusing the track limits doesn't necessarily mean it's faster. A lot of times at a road course, and you know this, Caleb, a lot of the times slower is faster. If it looks slow, a lot of times it's pretty fast.
Yeah, not so prevalent on, actual road course built cars, but especially in these very, very heavy stock cars that, don't quite take the corners just as fast. They still got the same amount of horsepower, but that saying it's slow is fast is really, really prevalent in these stock cars. You got to take it really, really careful. And a lot of the time, that is the fastest way to navigate these road courses.
Most certainly so. Greg Evans going around again. He's just kind of doing some track recon, and so we'll let Greg off the hook. Right now, we have had 19 cars record an official lap. David Dunwoody took time, however, he managed to acquire an X, so an incident point for off track on each of his laps. So his lap did not count. Right now, Bladen Edwards, Barry Seaman, Ted Craven, David Dunwoody, Dylan Blankenship, Randy Dunlap, Andrew Gates, and Donald Green have not been credited with a lap, and with a minute left in qualifying, it does not appear that they will be credited with one. And so I would venture a guess and say that the grid that we see right now is the grid that we're going to see. We'll, of course, line up those drivers in the back based upon their I rating, if they don't set a time, which would be Dunwoody, then Blankenship, Ted Craven, Randy Dunlap, Barry Seaman, or excuse me, Andrew Gates, Barry Seaman, and Donald Green would be the order for the I rating situation at the back of the field. We do have a decent crowd on hand. Do want to thank everybody for joining in. If you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel, and do support our series sponsor, Outland Custom Arms. Their mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen With precision-crafted firearms rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy, every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. That's Outland Custom Arms. And Caleb, we are winding down qualifying. We're going to have a grid here in just a few moments. For that starting grid, on the pole with a lap of 1 minute 40.337 seconds, it is Peyton Howell. He will be flanked by Ryan O'Donoghue. Peyton Howell will be credited with the SimShop Pole Award. www.simshop.com. Just keep driving. Row 2 is made up of Greg Evans and Ro Alvis, Riley Lean, Sam Crow are going to be on row 3. Kendall Paul, Troy Carricker. Row 4, Christian Light, John Hutchins. Round out your top 10. In 11th, Sebastian Rodriguez. Eric Porter starts 12th. Crash Neon 13th. Andrew Jones, Lee Campbell, Say Hey Lewis Hayes. Brian Sharp, Alice Segerwalt, Keith Graham, and Bladen Edwards will round out your top 20. Everybody from Bladen Edwards on back did not set a qualifying time. 21st, David Dunwoody. Dylan Blankenship is going to be rolling off 22nd. The Teddy Bear, Ted Craven. 23rd, Randy Dunlap. 24th, Andrew Gates. 25th. Barry Seaman, 26th, and Donald Green will make up your 27-car starting field. And that's kind of the story, too. When you come to a road course and it's primarily an oval series, Caleb, a lot of people take the week off, and we've seen that happen here.
Yeah, not as quite the field as we had in the first two races. Of course, the first one being Daytona and the second one being Atlanta, two plate tracks, which tend to be more popular in these oval predominant series. But only 27 drivers this time around. Still a very, very stacked field, but not as quite as what we saw at Daytona and Atlanta.
Not quite. Looking back from the pace car, Peyton Howell. He is ready to turn him loose and see if he can't get a win here in the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. It is a short pace lap here. We do not run the full pace lap, and so we are getting ready to almost start this race. They're already at the back end of the course, headed through that 16, 17, 18 complex, and that is a fearsome corner when you go through there. It's a triple apex, Caleb, and it requires a lot of throttle management to get through there fast.
Yeah, absolutely does, especially with how big and how heavy these stock cars are. And they make a lot of horsepower, so you got to be really, really careful as through that corner. As we see the pace car come into pit lane, and Peyton Howell he's going to take this field to green.
There you are. They're going to come around the final corner, turn number 20. Barney has the green flag in the air. Peyton Howell stands on the loud button, and away we go for 65 laps here at Circuit of the Americas.
Green, green, green.
The green flag does not come out until they hit right here, and they head up toward the top of the hill, turn number 1. And there you see them. They're going to filter through. Is everybody going to make it, Caleb?
That's what we're seeing. They're clean so far. A bit shuffling in the back of the field, but I think we got through turn 1 clean here, Murph.
I don't see anybody that didn't make it. So we're clean and green through the first set of corners as the cars rumble through the S's here at Circuit of the Americas. Peyton Howell is your leader, and he's already jumped out to almost a second lead over Ryan O'Donoghue.
Yeah, Peyton Howell set up whole time second and 0.3 faster than anyone else. I feel like he's just going to run away with this field. Meanwhile, a very, very close battle for second between Ryan O'Donoghue, Raul Alvis, and Greg Evans. They're all going to fight for the podium positions here early in the race. And the field is kind of, still together at the moment. As we see in the back, the 98 into 22 getting a little bit of contact between each other. But you see Peyton Howell he wants this battle to continue. That way he could try to build a gap as big as possible.
He does. There you're looking at the 72 of John Houchins. He is all over the backside of Sebastian Rodriguez. This is the battle for 10th, and it is probably the best one on the course at the moment. Do want to thank everybody for joining in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video. Help us out. Subscribe to the channel so that you can get in on all of the iRacing action here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. We're watching John Houchins try to chase down. He runs it wide off into the runoff. And that's kind of what we were talking about, Caleb. You can run wide there. There's no penalty for it, but that's not necessarily the fastest way.
I think it depends on the corner situation. Obviously, curbs do slow down the car a little bit, and they will upset it. However, a lot of the time you could take that runoff, and you'll pretty much abuse it as much as you want. It is obviously faster the more speed you're able to carry. However, sometimes they put little sausage curves on the apex and the exit of the corners, and that's going to really upset the car, and you really got to gain control of it if you run over them.
Yeah, you do. Those sausage curves are not nearly as high here as they might be at, say, the Daytona Road Course or the Charlotte Roval, where we're going to be tomorrow, but they are still very much in evidence. Of course, the track is a Formula One track, and so they don't need to be that high, but you can see one right there at turn number 13. You can see it at the apex. You see it there again at turn 15. Just on the apex, there's that sausage curve. You hit that sucker wrong, and you are going to loop the car. They are not forgiving, even in their trimmed-down Formula One form. We're watching the battle for third, fourth, and fifth. Raul Alves is third. He's some 1.3 seconds behind Ryan O'Donoghue, who is 2 seconds behind your leader, Peyton Howell. So this is the best battle on the track, and already we're seeing these cars spread out quite a bit, Caleb.
We do indeed, but as we say that, Greg Evans has got a great run going into turn one. He looks up the inside of Raul Alves. They're going to go side by side for turn one as we see a lockup in front. They're still side by side on the exit of the corner as they go through two. Raul Alves is able to prevail at the moment here, Murph.
Yeah, that's one of those where you can get up the inside of somebody pretty easily into turn one. It's really, really, really easy to do that. It is very hard to complete that pass, and we're going to show you why as we ride along with Greg Evans as he looks at the TV panel on the back of Raul Alves. But the situation with that is as you go up the hill into that corner, the radius of it is progressive, so it gets tighter as you go through the corner. The other bit is that it's off camber, and so it's really hard to hold that extreme inside line around the curve. You've almost got to stop one of these stock cars to get around that corner on the extreme inside. And so that just means the guy on the outside drives right on around you. And that's what happened to Greg Evans. He made that move, and he lost almost a second by doing it.
Yeah, it's just sometimes a sacrifice you got to take, with these stock cars. Sometimes you got to go get the move and you want to move forward, but if you don't get that move done, it'll actually just hold not only you up, but also the car you're battling up, and you might just lose time in total, and you might not even gone anywhere. But they seem to not have lost too much time to that second place car of Ryan O'Donoghue. In fact, I think that gap has come down ever so slightly between second and third here as we start lap number 4.
It has. Raul Alves was a half a second quicker than Ryan O'Donoghue the last time through, and there's kind of what I was talking about. If you've got to pinch that car off on the inside because somebody's on the outside of you, you are going to lose time, and that's what happened to Greg Evans. Raul Alves, meanwhile, he's gone up the road, my brother. He is nearly to the back bumper of Ryan O'Donoghue. That number 23 Toyota, he's given it a pretty good ride, and he has got the AMA, the perpetually fastest man in the AMA within his sights for that second spot.
Got really close to the wall on the apex, coming on to what is normally the back straightaway. He's on the bumper. Ryan O'Donohue only about a half car length back now as they go through turn 13 here. Oh, and Ryan O'Donohue goes a little bit wide. They're going to go side by side through this complex here, and he's able to get the position.
Yeah, I think that was Ryan O'Donohue saying, "Look, you're a little bit faster than me. You go right on ahead." But then O'Donohue tries to stick his nose back in at turn 15, saying, "Wait a minute, I might not be done here." So O'Donohue is not laying down. He's not giving up. Caleb, he is absolutely trying to hold Ro Alvis's feet to the fire, and they do have a bit of a gap, 1.6 seconds back to Greg Evans. The biggest gap, though, belongs to this man. Peyton Howe is 6 seconds ahead of Ro Alvis and Ryan O'Donohue after 4 laps.
Yeah, we talked about road course ringers, and Peyton Howe just seems to be, a little bit more than that, a trick of all trades here. He's been very well so far in the first 2 races here in the AMA Gray National Series. As we see in the background there, Raul Alvis and Ryan O'Donohue continue to battle. But we talked about road course ringers, and it really seems Peyton Howe has just a little step up over the rest of the field here, Murph.
Yeah, let's talk about the last couple of races. So I know it's really early to talk about points. John Houchins, who runs along in the 11th spot, and here's John, and he's got trouble brewing behind him in the former Crash Neon, Andrew Jones and Eric Porter. David Dunwoody also is going to be a part of that fight here before long. John Houchins is the points leader by 1 over David Dunwoody. Houchins runs along in 11th. David Dunwoody is 15th, and those two are definitely two drivers who I would classify as two who are just here to try to survive, Dunwoody and Houchins. Peyton Howe is third. He is 5 points back in the lead. He is your current leader. Troy Carricker, and there's Troy. Troy Carricker is fourth in the points. He is tied. He's currently seventh. He's tied with Sam Crow, who is right ahead of him on the course. Sam Crow and Troy Carricker tied for fourth. Tied for sixth, that'd be Greg Evans, who currently runs fourth, and Vance Fisher, who is not in the field this evening, so he is going to drop. Dylan Blankenship is way back in 22nd place. There's Dylan. He is eighth in the points. Ryan O'Donohue, we've covered at length already. O'Donohue runs along in ninth, and Chad Meadows, who is also not in the field today, is in the 10th spot. 11th is Andrew Jones. And Andrew Jones, it runs in the 13th spot. There's Andrew Jones, 46. So that's kind of your points situation as we run lap 6 of 65 here at Circuit of the Americas. We're on the NASCAR course, so we're not using the full road course here. Whoa, Andrew Jones locked up the rears there. Almost got in the back of Crash Neon.
Not only got into the back of Crash Neon, that looked like it was going to be a pile through right there. But as we see this incredible battle for the 11th position, these drivers trying to search for a top 10 here at Circuit of the Americas. John Hutchins he's got a mirror full of Crash Neon at the moment. Crash just taking a little bit tighter lines as they go through the S's here. He's going to get a really good run through this double left-hander. But John Hutchins just prevails a little bit over that 12th place driver, Crash Neon.
There you go, Crash Neon. And look at the different lines between Houchins and Crash Neon. We know Crash Neon, of course, from the open wheel side of things, and that means that just by default, he's going to have more road racing experience than John Houchins. And here he goes along the outside through that 14, 15, 16 complex. Neon running a much wider line. That's going to let Andrew Jones back into things here. Jones is going to take a much wider entry than Neon. Neon's going to push him all the way out toward the edge of the runoff. You can do that here at Circuit of the Americas. The runoff is almost all paved. Houchins runs wide, and that's going to leave Crash Neon a chance to go up the inside into turn 1, Caleb.
Yeah, they're good. They're all, I think they're going to try to go three wide as uh they go three wide. The 46 on the inside. Oh, a little bit of switchbacking as John Hutchins gets a little bit loose on exit. It is now crashed Neon, and Andrew Jones goes side by side through turn two. They that is Andrew Jones able to get two positions there going through turns one and two. He's able to prevail over the other two drivers. What a move from the 46 there, kind of sent it really late, but being very patient on exit, and he's able to get that move done.
He is indeed. Crash Neon. I almost wanted to pull the trigger and say, and the three wide Crash Neon is going to bail out headed to turn one, but he set that switch. He set that switcheroo up almost absolutely perfectly, Caleb. And now he gained a spot on Houchins, but he also lost a spot to Andrew Jones, so it all comes out in the wash for Crash Neon. He's still 12th, even though he passed Scar. Andrew Jones moves into the 11th spot. He is running laps in the minute 47 bracket. Peyton Howell, and we're going to go back to the front of the field, is all by his lonesome. 142, 693 the last time through, 144, 191 from Raul Alvis, and he has got big trouble in the form of Ryan O'Donoghue, who is pushing him
Oh,
through turn number one.
a little bit of art, as Townsend Bell would say, a little bit of argy bargy going through turn one there between Raul and Ryan. Uh, Ryan just giving a little bit of bump. Maybe he wants that position back. And one thing we haven't talked about, Murph, is the tire wear on road courses. It seems to be with these stock cars, whenever they go to road courses, you got the first 1 to 2 laps, maybe 3 laps, depending on what track you go to, and you feel like you're king of the world, and then they just kind of slowly drop off in pace. And we kind of see that on the ovals as well, but it seems to be more prevalent, you know, on a road course, especially at a track like this, Payne Howell got a lap time of like a 141 per se. Well, at the end of the set, his lap time may be down to like a 145. That's how much these tires will wear out
Yeah,
over the course of a run.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those situations where I was kind of reading through the Discord earlier today, and drivers were saying, look, if you buzz the rear tires once, if you spin them up once, they're gone for the entire stint, and you're going to lose so much time pitting that again, you buzz them once, the good is gone, and you basically have to live with it until the end of the stage. Um, and so that's going to favor guys who are better at throttle management. Peyton Howell, I thought, was going to pull
Oh,
over. Oh no, the contact there. Ryan O'Donoghue has the outside. That is the preferred line. He gets hard on the binders, and he's going to pull the switchback on Raul Alvis going down toward turn number three. He can't quite get it done. O'Donoghue will fall back in line for the S's. I thought Peyton Howell was going to pull over and let it, or not Peyton Howell. I thought Raul Alvis was going to pull over and let him go there.
nah, he just got a little bit loose on the exit of the final corner and just kind of held that middle line. We we talk about like lighting the rears up as they got a lot of traffic in front. That is Barry Seaman in the number 55 as we see the cars go almost side by side through the corner with lap traffic in front. But we talk about as we
Well, they're
go
still
side
side
by
by
side. I
side
mean,
now. They're still side by
oh,
side
big.
going through 12 to 38 of Randy Dunlap is going to get out of the way. The lappers showing great sportsmanship here, but this fighting between these two has allowed Greg Evans and Riley Lean to get back into the battle. So first place is sauntered off. Peyton Howell is nearly 10 and a half seconds up the road, but we have a battle on our hands for second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah, we saw Raw Avis. We talked about lighting up the tires. I wonder if he's starting to feel that one. If he lit up the tires, and now he's struggling with that with a little bit. And now Ryan O'Donoghue, he realizes that, and he's like, okay, now it's time to pounce as they go through the final set of corners here. As we see the number 12 hit the inside barrier there through the final corner. That is Dylan Blankenship. He's going to go lap down here.
Yeah, we're going to get back and show what happened to Dylan Blankenship um, just as soon as I can arrange the replay. Here it is. He's in the Ryan Blaney paint scheme. It is worth mentioning Andrew Gates and Donald Green have both retired their cars. Blankenship was trying to get to the pit lane, and this is a concern if you have to pit. Wow, he hit that attenuator a ton. Um, that is a concern here when you. That is a concern here at Circuit of the Americas when you have green flag pit stops. It is really easy to overcook that and hit the end of the pit wall. Blankenship had some damage. He was coming to pit lane and just clouded the barrier there at the entrance of the pit lane. That's going to be a meatball for him. And my guess, blown engine, night done with as hard as that impact was. As I was saying, Donald Green and Andrew Gates have both retired already. Again, road race, some drivers not as experienced on road courses, and they say, look, I'll show up, I'll start, I'll run a few laps, but this just isn't for me. And so they'll retire having participated, and they'll get some points for that, obviously, and move along. And that can be beneficial later on down the line as the series progresses. So Andrew Gates, Donald Green, they're going to be credited 26th and 25th respectively. Dylan Blankenship has not yet retired, but I would guess that he is going to be retiring shortly. That car took a hard shot to the nose. Do want to thank everybody for joining in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can get in on all of the iRacing fun. We'd also like to thank Outland Custom Arms. Their mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision crafted firearms. Rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy, every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. That's Outland Custom Arms. Ryan O'Donoghue continues to chase Raul Alvis and be chased by Greg Evans. Now they've got their guru in the Discord with them. There's one more in that DVD Motorsports gang that is not part of the race tonight, but he's on the scoring stand, and that is the ISRA impresario Mike Rigney. So hello to Mike. Is Raul Alvis, Ryan O'Donoghue, and Greg Evans are going to work underneath the lap car of Ted Craven, and that's just what you said earlier, Caleb. Craven was trying to get out of the way, but the track funnels to points where you can't get out of the way, and it cost Greg Evans almost a second to Ryan O'Donoghue.
We see that again almost with Brian Sharp. Raul Alvis had to navigate that a little bit, and now he's going to give up the position. Ryan O'Donoghue, he's going to get cut back by Raul Alvis. They go side by side through turns 17, 18 here. They're still side by side coming up to turn 19. They make contact a little bit. Raul Alvis in the grass there. Ryan O'Donoghue showing a little bit of his side panel there to Raul Alvis, and he's able to get that position.
Argy bargy indeed. Ryan O'Donoghue gives the door handle to Raul Alvis in an opportune fashion, and now O'Donoghue streaks away. He's got about 0.8 of a second over Alvis, and Alvis is going to be under fire from Greg Evans. The interested bystander here is going to be Riley Lean. Do want to welcome Carla Grayson 19 into the chat. She's cheering on Sebastian Rodriguez, and there is Sebastian. He runs along in ninth. He's got Christian Light about 3 seconds behind him. Sam Crow is 8 seconds up the road. So Sebastian Rodriguez in a good place. Nobody around him. And when you're driving, when you're in a race and it's like this, and this is what you see out of the visor, Caleb, it's almost like your own private test session, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You pretty much you're doing as what I call a time trial at this moment. In a normal car, you just kind of see what lap times you can do and kind of go in a time attack mode almost as we look at his battle for the second place position. Ryan O'Donoghue kind of pulling over, point out over the rest of the field here. But with our leader, Peyton Howe, he's pulled a 13-second gap, and it's pretty much just a track day for him. Just kind of I wouldn't say relaxing. You still kind of have to push with these cars to keep them under you, but kind of just take it easy a little bit, just knowing that, okay, we got a very large gap to where we can make a mistake every once in a while if he needs it.
We do, and let's hop on board with Peyton Howell and just enjoy a guy who clearly has Circuit of the Americas mastered. He's 2.5 seconds down over his fastest lap. But let's kind of talk about a little bit. If you're Peyton Howe, or Sebastian Rodriguez for that matter, you're one of these guys that is you're one of these guys, Greg Evans and Roel Alvis. We're going to have to go back to that real quick. I do apologize. Greg Evans and Roel Alvis side by side for second place, going through the S's portion of the track. Caleb, Roel Alvis held on, but not by much. But just to kind of put an endpoint on that, as you see Riley Lean join the fight, he now is going to pull up on the back of Greg Evans. One of those deals, you get side by side, and he gives a shot to Evans coming through turn 12. One of the things you can do to keep yourself entertained, right? In iRacing, you can hit the tab button on your keyboard, and you can, it'll give you sector by sector times. You can see where you're improving or losing time against either your best lap in the session, your last lap, your best lap ever. You can do those things. I'm sure if they've got teammates, you're talking to each other. A lot of times in these races, we would be debating the finer points of life, because if you're on the island like Sebastian Rodriguez or Sam Crow right now, or John Houchins for that matter, David Dunwoody is another one of those cars on an island. You really don't have much to do except race against yourself and talk to your friends.
That is indeed, but two drivers I do want to point out. I've been kind of watching them over the course of this past few laps. Glendale Paul and Troy Carricker have been shoving bumpers a little bit for the past few laps. Glendale Paul currently in front of Troy here as they go through the final set of corners. They've been kind of battling out, and that's just one of those things. Like sometimes you get these great battles between Cannondale and Troy, and even battles like Ryan O'Donohue, Raw Alvis, Greg Evans, and Riley Lean, where it's a 4-car battle. And sometimes you're Peyton Howe, Sebastian Rodriguez, Sam Crow, where you're just kind of on your own island and you just need to set some lap times. You need to set some pace. That way, if mistakes do happen to the cars around you, you're able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? We're sitting here, we're commentating on a race. The cars are fairly spread out. Greg Evans is about ready to have another charge at Roel Alvis, and so we're going to get back to that. But in truth, what are you doing right here? Well, you're kind of trying to set yourself up, Caleb, to learn as much as you can. You may be out there by yourself and you may be racing against yourself, but you're trying to learn as much as you can. What can I do to be better in that second and third stage, right? If you're Peyton Howell, that's what you're doing. If you're Ryan O'Donohue, he's pulled out now a second or better over Roel Alvis, and Greg Evans is all over Alvis for that second spot. But you're trying to understand and think, what can I do here that's going to make me better in that second and third stage? Because we're going to have a yellow flag. It's going to come out in 5 more laps. What can I do to get myself in better position for that run? How can I make up spots in the next stage? Greg Evans to the inside one more time. There you see it. He's got the left front lock. Now, see, that time he ran wider, and he forced Alvis all the way to the outer edge of the pavement, and Greg Evans is going to take the second spot, and Alvis is now in trouble. He's got Riley Lean all over the back of him, and I believe you're right from earlier. I think Roel Alvis may have buzzed those rear tires. He's having a difficult time getting off the corners.
Yeah, he almost looked it there. He gets a bit sideways and make contact with Riley Lean. He gets a bit sideways coming off the exit of the corner. Riley Lean goes through just a bit of a send too hard from Raw Alvis there. He's going to drop back to 5th here. But the current running order right now, Greg Evans, Riley Lean, Raw Alvis going wide again. I reckon his tires are nearly gone here, Murph.
Yeah, the good news for him, and there you see, he locks the fronts, he wheel hops the back, he gets it sideways going through 6B, and I think hitting Riley Lean actually straightened his car up quite a bit. The good news for Roel Alvis, though, is he's got some 12 seconds back to Kendale Paul, who has lengthened his advantage over Troy Carricker to nearly a second and a half. Nearest battle on the track now is this one. It's Crash Neon Lee Campbell and Alan Steigerwald. This is 12th, 13th, and 14th. They are all right together. Now, just because they're 3 seconds a lap off the pace of the leader does not mean that this isn't a good scrap.
Let's not forget that Andrew Jones is he made that pass earlier, but he has not really left the picture. He's only about 5 to 6 car lengths out in front. That gap has kind of maintained since he's made that pass. Crash Neon trying to get as much as he can, but he goes a little bit wide going through F1 turn 15 as they go through the triple right-hander now. That gap is probably going to stagnate a little bit unless mistakes prevail here, Murph.
You know, it most likely will prevail over the long term. 16 of 65 complete. We're getting ready to come 2 laps 17 to begin 17. It is all Peyton Howell right now. He is 16 seconds ahead of second place Ryan O'Donoghue. O'Donoghue has pulled out to nearly a second over Greg Evans. Evans has reeled teammate O'Donoghue back in. There's Evans in third. Riley Lean is now fourth, and Ruel Alvis has dropped all the way off the back of that threesome. It was formerly a quartet, but Ruel Alvis has dropped well back of them. He is fifth. You got to go 12 seconds deeper in the order to find Kendall Paul. Kendall Paul is sixth. Troy Carricker, a couple of seconds behind him in seventh. Sam Crow, 7 seconds adrift of Carricker in eighth. Sebastian Rodriguez runs along in ninth. He's 10 seconds behind Crow. And Christian Light is holding down 10th.
Still looking onwards of this battle for 11th. Now that gap is still kind of still 5 to 6 car lengths, but Crash Neon has a mirror of Lee Campbell all over him. But it's going to kind of ebb and flow with these stock cars. It's hard to be very, very consistent. And if you are consistent, then you're going to be 17 seconds ahead of the field like Peyton Howell is. But learning these cars on a road course is going to take quite a bit of time to finally get it consistent. And this is where you see a lot of these battles ebb and flow. They get closer, then they get wider, then they get closer again. It's going to be a kind of like a slinky that comes back and forth on these gaps as we see Lee Campbell look up the inside, Crash Neon going into turn one.
He does. Greg Evans was making a look on teammate Ryan O'Donoghue. We'll get back. Lee Campbell does go to the inside of Crash Neon, and Neon is going to come under fire from Alan Steigerwald on the exit. Steigerwald looks to driver left. Doesn't quite get it done. Crash Neon is going to hold that 13th spot. It's worth mentioning Eric Corder is trying to stay on the lead lap. He's 5 seconds a lap off the pace set by Peyton Howell. He's 5 seconds a lap off the pace set by Peyton Howell. He's following David Dunwoody. So those two are in danger. They need to pick up the pace here because they need to stay on that lead lap to have a shot. We know we're going to have a yellow flag here, Caleb, within the next 2 laps, and you want to be on that lead lap. If you're Peyton Howell, you want to put as many of these cars a lap down as you can, and those two drivers are within a lap of being in the range of Peyton Howell. We're going to jump on board the roof cam of Peyton Howell, and there he is, and you can see visibly Porter and Dunwoody ahead of him.
And that gap's just going to get whittled down by the second. They need to prevail. They only got a little bit more to go to stay on this lead lap. They're going to, I think they would learn the track a little bit more throughout this run. Now they could go to the second stage and maybe have that gap be a little bit wider, but it might all go away if Peyton Howell gets by them. Meanwhile, the battle in second, Ryan O'Donoghue and Greg Evans, is looking to be quite spicy at the moment here, Murph.
Yeah, those are two teammates, and they're very, very, very good. They are Both very good. They're both communicating in the Discord. The team manager, Mike Rigney, is on the box for these two, coordinating strategy. Um, and they're trying to learn too, right? They want to try to understand what it is that's allowing Peyton Howell to be at this point 6 to 7 tenths of a second a lap faster than they are. And so they're trying to learn also. I got to jump back to quarter or to Peyton Howell and his question. He is stopping. Peyton Howell is in the pit lane. That's going to hand the lead over to Ryan O'Donoghue and Greg Evans. Now that's a bit of road course strategy. Peyton Howell is going to stop before the pits are closed for the stage. He will reassume the lead. He is the only one that does that. It's worth mentioning Dylan Blankenship, Keith Graham, and Barry Seaman have now retired. Randy Dunlap has the meatball. He's been on pit lane for 1 minute and 20 seconds and counting. The teddy bear, Ted Craven, has also made a pit stop. But right now, it's looking like Ryan O'Donoghue and Greg Evans are going to battle this thing out for the win of the stage.
You're absolutely right. It's gonna be it's an absolutely exciting battle between the two. I was just peering to see why Peyton Howell came to pit lane. Obviously, coming right before the stage. That's obviously going to implicate championship points as we see Ryan O'Donoghue and Greg Evans going side by side. Greg gets around Ryan there, going through turn number 15 there as they come up to the triple right-hander onto the final lap of the stage.
I'm going to tell you who else is a huge fan of what Peyton Howell just did. That's this man Brian Sharp in the W Admin Box Blackmagic Studios machine. Huge fan of Peyton Howell right now is Brian Sharp because he's one lap down. He's going to get the lucky dog. So too, Say Hey Lewis Hayes. Say Hey Lewis Hayes was a lap down. He's saying, man, I get to be back on the lead lap. He's going to let the leaders go. And now Brian Sharp is shaking his fist going, why would you do that, Lewis Hayes? Because Say Hey Lewis Hayes, he's going to be in position to get the lucky dog, so he'll get back on the lead lap when caution flies at the stage, and Brian Sharp will remain one lap down. The battle continues to rage between Evans and O'Donoghue at the front. Greg Evans in the deuce has the lead. O'Donoghue in the 14 is second. Both of these drivers are championship contenders. They would love to get the stage points. I don't know. Does Ryan O'Donoghue have one more charge left in him, Caleb?
It's possible. It's very easy to make a mistake in these stock cars. They're very heavy and of course have a lot of horsepower, as we see just a little bit of cleaner line from Ryan O'Donoghue there. And it's all a matter of how consistent you can be. Ryan O'Donoghue being very tight on his apexes right now as you see him navigate this kind of double horseshoe section here. Greg Evans going a little bit wide through these apexes. That's going to cost them just a little bit of time, but not too much as they go through the triple right-hander. Greg Evans has about a 3-car length advantage at the end of the stage here.
Yeah, there he is. You see Greg Evans. He's going to come through, and it's going to take a minute for the top 10 to file through. Literally a minute. Lee Campbell in 10th is 53 seconds adrift of the lead. Greg Evans is going to come around turn 20. He's going to lead Ryan O'Donoghue home. But that's not going to end the stage, or it shouldn't, because we've got to wait for Lee Campbell to come across the line, and he is nearly a half a lap down. There are no other battles for position here. Say Hey Lewis Hayes is in the lucky dog spot. Eric Porter and David Dunwoody no longer in danger of going a lap down with a pit stop by Peyton Howell. And so we await Lee Campbell to come through for the stage. And while they await Lee Campbell, Ryan O'Donoghue still has a chance to pass Greg Evans and win the stage.
You're absolutely right. He's right on the rear bumper of that number 2 car, Greg Evans. He's a little bit closer than he is last time. He's got about a few more braking opportunities. I think his best opportunity is going to be into turn 19 if they're able to go get it. Greg Evans gets a really tight line, really tight on entry, very nice on exit, and caution flag is out. That's going to end the stage here.
It most certainly is. So the caution is on the speedway, and now the Ford Mustang pace car is going to head out onto the track. We're going to see wholesale pit stops, and when those happen, Peyton Howell is going to be your leader. Christian Light also hit pit road. Christian Light is going to be second. Greg Evans, Ryan O'Donoghue are going to line up on row 2. So Christian Light also pulls the early pit strategy. We'll see what the stewards have to say about that because he pitted just 1 lap ago. Typically, the pit lane closes with 2 to go. So we'll see. There goes the pace car. It is hollow, thankfully. it is hollow, thankfully, Caleb, as he runs over the pit exit line. But pace car is out now, and we are at the conclusion of stage 1. Stage 1 is brought to you by Blackmagic Studios. They are a small one-man, track racer. Stage break number 1 is brought to you by Track Racer. If you use a promo code !ref123 at the end of the web address, that's trackracer.com, you get 5% of your order goes to the AMA prize pool. That is trackracer.com, and I'll put the promo code that you put at the end of the web address. If you in the chat, if you go there, 5% of your order goes to the AMA prize pool. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in. Do want to thank Outland Custom Arms for their support of the series. At Outland Custom Arms, their mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision crafted firearms rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy. Every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. That is Outland Custom Arms, proud sponsor of the Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series here in the AMA. We have another huge crowd on hand tonight, Caleb. We just went over 1,300 in the view count, so do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1, so that you too can get in on all of our iRacing fun. Tomorrow night we are at the Charlotte Roval 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start for the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series round at the Charlotte Roval. So you can see many of these same drivers in the pick-em-up trucks, Caleb, and they're going to go for their round at Charlotte on Saturday. It is a big one. It is the iRacing IndyCar Series. That is one of our flagship broadcasts. You're going to be running in that one, Caleb?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't really decided. I'm for sure running at least one Saturday split. Whether or not I decide to run the broadcast, I'm not exactly sure yet.
That is going to be Saturday at 1 o'clock. I'm going to run the time slot. I have no hope of being in the top split, Caleb. My road I rating is
nope.
My road I rating is awful. So I'm not worried.
Yep.
I'm not worried about that. Greg Evans leads the parade down pit lane. Everybody is going to stop here, with the exception of Peyton Howell and Christian Light. They are the two that pitted earliest in the earlier before the pits were closed. Sunday, it's a doubleheader. The Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series live at 2, and the Dark Horse DW12 Series presented by 40 Raceware goes at Iowa at 8 o'clock. We're also going to have a special presentation of the Formula Super Series that is going to come to you live from Talladega at 8:20. Super Formula cars at Talladega. Now that's going to be interesting, Caleb.
I'm currently processing that. That's certainly a combination here, Murph. But back onto the race at hand, we do have another retirement. Randy Dunlap has decided to park it behind the garage. As we see a lot of the cars coming out pit lane now, Greg Evans still is able to prevail over the rest of the field on that pit cycle, so he'll be behind Peyton Howell on this restart here, Murph.
He will. Now think about this. If you're St. Lewis Hayes, he gets the lucky dog. He gets the wave around, and now he's got to drive another lap flat out. He's going to have to make a pit stop, and then he's going to have to try to catch the rear of the field here, Caleb, before the green flies. And you might not think it, but that's going to be a tough order. He's still over a minute behind the rest of this race. Peyton Howell in the pace car, Lewis Hayes going through the stadium in those the leaders in the pace car, they're already at the top of the hill, headed down toward the S's. So say Lewis Hayes,
Yeah, we see.
he gets his lap back, but he's just now hitting pit road. He's going to have to get the let out to try to get back into position because the lights are going to go out on the pace car this time by.
Yes, they will indeed. You see, he's going to take all four tires here. He's going to have to be really, really quick. They also got Ted Craven right in front of our leaders here. He's going to have to get the wave around and unlap himself here. That's going to be another big haul for a driver, and he doesn't even have the advantage of taking new tires, so he's going to have to pit in the middle of the this upcoming stage
Well,
here.
well, he may not. So he last stopped 6 laps ago. So the teddy bear Ted Craven has made a pit stop. So he should be good until the end of the second stage. But my goodness, I mean, he's going to have to. He won't catch the end of the field. He's going to struggle to catch the end of the field before the green flag comes out. There goes the teddy bear Ted Craven. As soon as the pace car hits the line, he is going to hit the accelerator and flash past. Lewis Hayes is just now at the cutoff on to get through 6A and 6B and onto the back stretch here. Meanwhile, the rest of the field is on the front stretch, and there goes Ted Craven. He's just now got the wave around. He's going to have to hustle.
Yeah, he's going to have to hustle to even get to the rear of this field, as well as the other cars that are trying to get their lap back. One thing I do want to point out here, Peyton Howe did do a couple of laps on those tires, and you're probably thinking, well, that's probably not going to affect, in a normal road course series, that really doesn't affect much. In these big bulky saw cars, the fresher the tires are is significantly better. I wonder here, Murph, if that's going to play much of a factor, just having tires that are already 1 to 2 laps green flag running old.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Peyton Howell, he pulled the strategy move to guarantee he would have the lead in the second stage, but he's got two lap older tires. Now they do cool off, so he's going to have that. He's going to have that going for him. But is that going to be the difference? Is that going to be something that might allow Greg Evans, Ryan O'Donohue, and Riley Lean, who were as much as a second a lot slower than him, is that going to allow them to keep closer touch with Peyton Howell? And is he going to suffer at the end of this stage because of it? The flip side of that is he's only going to have to do 16 green flag laps because we're going to stop again for another stage break at lap 40. So again, Peyton Howell, two sides to every coin. He's got 2 laps on the tires, but the stage is effectively something like 4 laps shorter as we get ready to get the green flag through turns 18 and 19 now. It is a long caution lap here at Circuit of the Americas. It takes almost 3 minutes, and this is one of those where you wish that they had like some sort of a loop that they could do to cut down the caution laps.
Yes, we do indeed. Update on Ted Craven. He's currently going through turns 3. He's currently going through DSs, so I don't think he's going to catch the field. Meanwhile, St. Lewis Hayes is, I think, just about going to catch this field as they go green here, Murph.
Yeah, there he is. He's getting ready to go through 16, 17, 18, the triple apex corner. There he is. There's the pace car. It's going through turn 19. So Lewis Hayes just may get there. As we head back to green flag action, we're going to hop in the P1 drone for the restart. Here comes Peyton Howell. He's going to hit the loud pedal right about now.
Green, green, green.
He gets an absolutely massive start.
Yeah, he took full advantage. He took full advantage of the fact that there is no restart zone on a road course. As you see, Ted Craven did not catch the field. He is going to be, oh, the teddy bear is going to be something like 28 seconds behind the pack. Say, hey, Lewis Hayes did just get there, so he's going to remain at the tail. He's going to be remaining in the 17th spot. Sam Crow is around. Sam Crow has spun, and that is a big one. He was running inside the top 10. Sam Crow will drop back to the 18th spot, and we need to figure out what has befallen Sam Crow here. Did he have some help?
I think he might have, Murph.
That is the 60 of Lee Campbell behind him. They're going through the S's, cold tires. It is possible to turn the car loose by yourself, but it helps it go around if there's contact from the number 60 of Lee Campbell. And he got him 2 or 3 times going through there. It's almost like Lee Campbell couldn't get off Sam Crow. It doesn't appear as though Sam hit anything. The Black Acid Chevrolet is going to fall back to the 18th spot. Good news for Sam Crow is he's going to have one more stage brake yellow to help catch himself up. Christian Light restarted at the front of this thing, but he is having a whale of a time keeping it. He's all the way back to the 9th spot is Christian Light, and he is losing positions in wholesale fashion, Caleb.
It's just one of those tricky restarts, and having slightly older tires than the rest of the field, you're just going to get swallowed up if you're once you get in that mid pack. But he's got some of the leaders in front of him, some of the big boys, Clendo Boy, Troy Carricker in front of him, and then out in front, it seems like that gap hasn't really grew as much as it did in the first stage between Peyton Howe and the rest of the field. Greg Evans is still kind of within eye shot on lap number 2 of stage number 2, but Greg Evans has a whole lot mirror of Ryan O'Donohue right now.
Yeah, he does. And look, Greg Evans is trying to get there, right? But the deficit per lap, Peyton Howell, minute 41.074 the last time through. Greg Evans, minute 41.932. Ryan O'Donohue, minute 42.312. Lola Alvis is in the minute 43 bracket. Troy Carricker, so is Riley Lee. We get back to Troy Carricker. He's a minute 45. Kendall Paul, a minute 47. So that's the delta in time that you're looking at. O'Donohue and Evans seem to be able. O'Donohue and Evans seem to be able to keep up with each other, but they're not able to keep up with Peyton Howell. And even with the tire deficit, you can see the gap building. That time they were fairly even. Peyton Howell set the fastest lap, minute 41.122, but Greg Evans and Ryan O'Donohue were not that far off. Evans 141.210, Ryan O'Donohue 141.356, and we can actually show that on the pylon here. As you watch, you can see exactly what the drivers are doing in the differential on lap time. Do want to thank Shelby Carricker for checking in the chat. Always good to see Shelby. She supports husband Troy Carricker, and there's Troy. He's running along in the 6th spot. He's been doing battle with Kendall Paul for most of the evening. Again, 6th spot, Troy Carricker, and he's got trouble coming from Kendall Paul. Kendall got a great run coming out of 6B, down the long straightaway to turn 12, but he can't quite get there this time, Caleb.
Nah, it just a little bit wide on exit from Troy. That cost him a little bit of time, but he's able to prevail through the double horseshoe complex here, and he's able to just pull away about a car length over Kendall Paul in the positions behind.
Yeah, and these two look, I mean, you see the lap times and you see the differences. Carricker and Kendall Paul now down in the 142s. They are pulling away from Sebastian Rodriguez. He's about a second slower. Rodriguez about a second a lap quicker than Christian Light. The tire gambit did not work out for Christian Light. He's fallen all the way back to the ninth spot already. And Christian Light is in deep trouble from Andrew Jones, Alan Steigerwald, Crash Neon. Those drivers are all coming for Christian Light, who is just up the road, and this is probably right now the best battle on the circuit. Jones, Steigerwald, and Neon, 10th, 11th, and 12th. As you see, Alan Steigerwald, look, and he gets into Andrew Jones, and around they go. I was just talking about how close together they were. Caleb, and they got really close together. Watch this.
Yeah, you see Steigerwald just get up on that curb there and just barely tags that number 46 of Andrew Jones. Just a little light taps just completely sends the car around. Just a small little mistake like that costs them a lot of time
Well,
throughout
yeah,
the lap here.
not only did it cost them a lot of time, it cost them positions to Lee Campbell, John Houchins. Uh, Sam Crow is going to be to the back of Andrew Jones now, and we know again from drivers talking that if you hurt the tires, they stay hurt. There's no way to get them back, and so spinning the car around and having to light the tires up to turn back around, that's not going to do you any favors when it comes to those rears. And we'll see if Sam Crow can take advantage. He'd like to have that spot. He was running along with it within earshot of that top five. Sam Crow would love to make up as many positions as he can.
Yes, he would. Meanwhile, Clendo Paul has gotten around Troy Carricker for the sixth position. He moves up about a car length over Troy Carricker as they go through turns 2 and 3 right now into the S's. But we still have very close battles early in this stage here. Obviously, second place, Greg Evans, Ryan O'Donohue. They still haven't really left the tail end of Peyton Howe for the lead. And then you got a little bit further back, a big battle between Crash Neon, David Dunwoody, and Christian Light. Kind of a bit of a mix-up compared to the first stage. Obviously, different strategies at the end of this stage kind of determined that, but a little bit more chaos as well here, Murph.
Yeah, I mean, look, Peyton Howell has not been able to quite sod all the way off from Evans and O'Donohue as he did before. He's still gapping them, but it's not as decisive as it was. As a matter of fact, Evans and O'Donohue were quicker that last time through. We're going to flip flop back here and tune in Crash Neon and David Dunwoody. Dunwoody was a lap down at one point in the first stage. He got that back when Peyton Howell short pitted the caution. And looky here, he's in 11th spot and he's running along with Crash Neon, getting ready to challenge for a position inside the top 10. So how about that for David Dunwoody?
Yeah, obviously a day turned around. Being a lap down is obviously never an ideal situation, but we've already seen that happen a couple of times here in the AMA where drivers have gone a lap, even 2 laps down, and they've been able to battle for a win at the end of the race here. As we see David Dunwoody looking up the inside of Crash Neon going up into turn number 1.
Here he goes. Now it's a road course veteran on the outside. You've got a very good oval driver, not a lot of experience on road courses on the inside. Dunwoody gets through, and he'll move up into the 10th spot. And that's a great run for David Dunwoody. It's also worth noting Ryan O'Donohue has gotten through Greg Evans for second, and so O'Donohue will move into the second spot. Evans gets demoted to third, and the way that went down was almost as if it was planned. Meanwhile, Troy Carricker is around. Troy Carricker has spun his number 94 machine off into the inside wall. He's going to get that. He's going to get that righted, but he's going to lose all kinds of time and positions. Through goes Dunwoody and Neon. There goes Lee Campbell. There's a huge indentation in the front of that Chevrolet. And what has happened to Troy Carricker? Onto the rumble strips he goes. He's going to drop the right rear off there, Caleb, and that just that turns the rear end of the car around. No chance. He locks it down, but noses into the Armco there on the inside, and Troy Carricker goes from 6th to 12th, and he's going to slot in there. He's got a bit of a cushion back to Andrew Jones and John Houchins. Sam Crow is all over the back of John Houchins now. Crow has gotten through, say, hey, Lewis Hayes, and he would love to make up one more spot here, Caleb.
Yeah, John Hutchins. I saw in the background while we were looking in for the battle, I believe, with a Crash Neon and David Dunwoody. I saw him go wide at the top of turn 1. Meanwhile, you got a great battle between Greg Evans and Ryan O'Donohue. Greg wants that spot back. They got about a 3.5 second disadvantage to Peyton Howe out in front. But Sam Crow currently looking up the inside as well of John Hutchins for that 14 spot.
He didn't quite get it done. He's going to fall back about half a second from Hutchins, try to rebuild and go again. Is Sam Crow. We'll flop back to that because the teammates have started to lose some time. The number 1 of Ted Craven gets out of the way of this battle. John Houchins 14th, Sam Crow is 15th. They are the two cars closest in contact. David Dunwoody has gotten past Christian Light. Dunwoody has moved up into the 8th spot now. So a great run for him as Sam Crow looks to the inside of Houchins at turn number 12. And Houchins is not going to contest the spot. Sam Crow will go on through, move Sam Crow to 14th. Meanwhile, this battle rages on. Christian Light, David Dunwoody, and Crash Neon briefly 3 wide. Neon would love to get the spot back from Dunwoody and move back into 9th spot. He can't get it done through the 15, 16, 17 triple apex corner. David Dunwoody holds him off, but Christian Light is sliding backwards. Dunwoody was nearly a second quicker than Christian Light the last time through. How about David Dunwoody? He's doing laps that are comparable to Rodriguez, Paul, Riley, Lean, and those are some pretty good road racers ahead of him. David Dunwoody, the outside of Christian Light, can he make this one stick? Light locks.
Oh, big lockup.
It was a big lockup for Christian Light. He gets squirrely coming off the corners. Though, I think the tires on that 96 are pretty much toast. He pitted at the same time with Peyton Howe. Peyton Howe has not been able to drive away from O'Donohue and Evans, at least as much as he was in the early going. And we'll stay with Christian Light because he is locked up the left front, and he is immediately going to come under fire from Crash Neon.
Related, but we have another retirement of Eric Corder. He has decided to park it behind the garage here, but we see battles all up and down the field. Ryan O'Donohue, Greg Evans still going at it, and they still haven't left the sight of Peyton Howe. I think this time, last stage, Peyton Howe already was ahead by 10 seconds. This time, he's not even clear of 5 seconds. So just goes to show, even that 1 to 2 lap difference in tires really makes a big difference, even though Peyton Howe is still out in front here, Murph.
You know, he is. And here's the thing. You know, Peyton Howe, he's still pulling away, but not nearly as decisive as it once was. Now, if you're O'Donohue and Evans, as you get down to turkey talking time in the second stage presented by Blackmagic Studios, are you going to try to pull the same? Ryan O'Donohue goes around and gets tagged by teammate Greg Evans. He's going to nearly get rear-ended by Rule Albus. Now Evans is around. Nearly. Holy smokes, a bad set of corners for the DVD cars. Evans now with damage on the nose of his Chevrolet, and that's allowed Royal Albus to go through in the second. O'Donohue back to fourth. Evans to third. My goodness gracious. We're gonna need to go back and see that again. Here's where it starts. Ryan O'Donohue goes around coming through 6B. He saves it. Greg Evans can't avoid it. He tags O'Donoghue. Evans is trying to get back going. Here comes Alvis. Alvis slams on the brakes, and he's able to get through Evans at turn 13. And Evans nearly goes around getting through turn 13. And that looks like to me that those DVD cars had a little bit too much rear brake bias dialed in there, Caleb.
Yeah, that's one thing. One
They,
thing that these stock cars do love is a rear brake bias, but very easy to lock up the front. So you just want as much rear rotation. So, but if you go too far, obviously that's what happens here.
Yeah, and look, I mean that's indicative. When you see a car go around like that at the entrance to a corner, there's only one or two things that it can be. You've either wheel hopped it, or the rear brakes have locked, and the cars weren't bouncing. So that tells me the rear brakes are locked up on those two automobiles, and now they've got two problems. One, they've been around or partially around. Greg Evans has damage from that. Ryan O'Donoghue is going to have some damage as well. But the bigger problem is they've buzzed the tires. Are they going to be able to start reeling in? They had been pulling away from Rolalvis. Are they going to be able to reel him back in? Meanwhile, back at the ranch, there is a huge scrap at the back end of the top 10. You've got Christian Light, Troy Carricker, Crash Neon, Lee Campbell, and Andrew Jones all in a conga line here. That's 9th through 14th, and Sam Crow is looming in the distance. Carricker is going to pull to the inside of Christian Light going into turn 12 rather. Can Troy Carricker make that move stick? Christian Light locks the brakes up. He has locked the brake. He's been locking the brakes a bunch.
Need some rear brake bias. Maybe we could split the difference between Ryan O'Donoghue and Christian Light's brake bias, maybe find a happy medium. But Christian Light still holding on to that position as they go through turns 16, 17, 18 here.
Christian Light now has competition from Troy Carricker behind him one more time. He locks the brakes up at the top of turn 1, and that's going to allow Troy Carricker to get underneath and make the pass cleanly on the exit of turn 1. And now Christian Light is going to have to deal with Crash Neon. Neon is coming from the 11th spot. He would surely like to crack the top 10, and he has got hungry drivers behind him. And Sam Crow, you see him in the background. He has cut nearly a second out of these cars. Sam Crow could very well be 8th by the end of this stage. Could very well be 8th at the end of this stage, Caleb. I can't find my words.
We both have very long days here, but there's two drivers in this little group here that want a lot more than where they're at right now. Troy Carricker and Sam Crow both were fighting in top 5 earlier in the race, as we see Troy Carricker get a little bit sideways, trying to get around David Dunaway. He's going to try to look around the outside, going through turns 15. He goes really, really wide, uses as much exit as he can, and he's able to get around the number 96, the 28 of David Dunwoody.
Meanwhile, Neon and Christian Light go wide. That's going to allow Andrew Jones to get through. Crash Neon is the big loser out of all that. He's lost 3 spots now. Now Light locks him up going through turn 15, I believe, or excuse me, turn 19 rather. These cars are in a huge scrap. Now we've got Andrew Jones around, and that's going to allow Lee Campbell to sneak through. And here comes Sam Crow. All sorts of action. My goodness gracious.
all sorts of action. And up at the front, David Dunwoody looks up the inside. Troy Carricker go through turn one. The action's not done here, Murph, but Troy Carricker holds that outside line. Now is the inside line go through turn two, and they're going to go side by side through the S's. And David Dunwoody is able to get back around Troy Carricker.
Yeah, Dunwoody makes it stick, and look, that's a hard thing to do. Carricker kind of lost all of his momentum in turn two, and David Dunwoody was able to get back by Troy Carricker, and now Crash Neon has made it back through Lee Campbell, and he'd like to pass both of these cars. Crash Neon was originally the driver that was working on David Dunwoody when we panned back to this just a couple of laps ago. Dunwoody leads Carricker, Neon, Campbell, Light, and Sam Crow. This is the battle for 8th back to about 13th, and they are all right in a line, producing some amazing racing, while Peyton Howell, Roel Alvis, Greg Evans, and Ryan O'Donoghue kind of run away at the front. Riley Lean, Kendall Paul, Sebastian Rodriguez, 4th through 7th, and they're all kind of on islands, but this is a fight for position on the racing surface. And can Crash Neon get back through Troy Carricker?
He got a good run off the exit 15, but wasn't able to make it stick through 16, 17, 18. He's able to carry a good line through 19. Does he get a good line through 20? He keeps it tight, gets a somewhat good exit, but Troy Carricker gets a really, really good exit, and now he's on the tail end of trying to get past back around David Dunwoody. This battle's not over. As in the background, Sam Crow, he's looking up around the outside of Christian Light here. Christian Light's locking him up again.
Christian Light slides through turn one. That lets Sam Crow go through, and he's going to have Andrew Jones looking at his television panel, going through the S's, and here comes Andrew Jones. So Christian Light has now fallen back to the 14th spot. We're going to get back to this battle between Dunwoody, Carricker, Neon, and Lee Campbell. That's 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th on your screen, all right together. Troy Carricker is not done with David Dunwoody. He is all over the rear bumper of Dunwoody Chevrolet, and you see Carricker's car wiggling back and forth. That's what we mean when we talk about wheel hop. You're downshifting faster. You're downshifting faster than the transmission can catch up with the revs, and there goes Carricker. He's going to get through Dunwoody, and he slips up.
A little bit side by side. Dunwoody's not done yet.
Carricker's around. Troy Carricker loses. Yeah, Troy Carricker lost the car. Now Crash Neon is around.
Yeah, with him.
Oh boy, so we're going to have to go back and unpack that because Troy Carricker had wheel hopped and buzzed the rear tires a couple of corners previous to this. He is going to go around. When he does, watch Crash Neon. There goes Carricker. He locks the rears up and goes around. Dunwoody gets through, and then Crash Neon is tagged by Troy Carricker. He spins off. The beneficiary of all that, Sam Crow and Lee Campbell. Sam Crow goes back to 10th. I said he's got a shot to be 8th before the end of this stage. He just might do it. He's got 3 laps left.
Yeah, you see him get a really good run through turn one on the rear end of Lee Campbell, but Lee gets a really nice turn number 2 as they come up to the S's now. David Dunwoody is still the lead of this pack here, but it might, with how this pack has been going, I would be surprised if we get a few more shakeups before the stage is over here, Murph.
Yeah, I mean, and look, Lee Campbell the last time through was half a second quicker than David Dunwoody. Sam Crow was a second quicker than Lee Campbell. Andrew Jones was a second quicker than Sam Crow. So let's marinate on that for a little bit. Andrew Jones is now all over the back of Sam Crow, and there's too much to watch here. There's too much to watch here because Lee Campbell is trying to get through David Dunwoody. He is all over the backside of Dunwoody as they go through turn 19 and head up to turn 20. Or excuse me, that was 14. They're going through 15, 16, and 17 now. I don't know where I'm at.
We have lost Murph
we
is somewhere in Texas, and we don't know where he's at,
we
ladies and
we
gentlemen.
we have lost Murph somewhere in Austin. Lee Campbell is going to go around David Dunwoody maybe at turn 20. He does not quite get there. They're going to go side by side up the hill, across the line, and into turn one. Dunwoody has the preferred line. Campbell has the outside and the momentum as they draw even. Who's going to blink first?
Round the outside, that's Lee Cable. He gets a really good exit. He's able to
And
prevail
Sam
over
Crow's around
David Dunwoody.
again.
We got spun. Sam Crow spins. He's
He,
around again. Meanwhile, Troy Carricker and Andrew Jones are side by side through the S's. And Andrew Jones is around.
there goes Andrew Jones. You saw Sam Crow. He got tagged by the car by one of the other cars behind him. We're going to go back to that. Andrew Jones gets tagged by Troy Carricker through the S's. Around he goes. Uh, Here's what happened to Sam Crow. He's going to get tagged by Andrew Jones coming off of turn number one. The old right hookaroo, and around goes Sam Crow. But then karma happens to Andrew Jones just a little bit further up the road. He gets position on Troy Carricker. He's going to go through Carricker, and Carricker is going to lay the bumper to Andrew Jones here within the next couple of corners. Boom. And around goes Andrew Jones off the nose of Troy Carricker. And all that means is that Lee Campbell is now 8th. David Dunwoody is 9th. Troy Carricker is 10th. He's about 3 seconds adrift of Dunwoody. And Sam Crow is 11th. So Sam Crow did all that work. He got spun around, and he's right back where he started in the 11th spot as we hit lap number 40. Raul Alves has assumed the lead because one more time, the cars of Christian Light, Peyton Howell, and now Riley Lean have hit the pit lane so that they will line up 1, 2, 3 when it comes to the restart. They're going to have to do a couple of laps, though, under the green flag, and we've seen what that means for those cars and their pace, Christian Light in particular. But there's Raul Alves. He's going to come across the line. He's going to get lap 41, and now we wait nearly the minute for this man, Troy Carricker, to cross the line and bring out the yellow flag.
Meanwhile, right in front of Troy Carricker, David Dunwoody is not done. He had a really good run going through 12, but lost a little bit of time to Lee Campbell in front. And I feel like we're finally able to take a breath at the end of the stage here, Murphy. A lot of unpack in the last 5 laps of the stage. Lee Campbell going through the final corner. He's able to prevail over the rest of that pack that was what effectively was 8th through 14th. He's going to prevail and get that 8th spot. David Dunwoody is going to get 9th across the line.
And here comes
Ted
Troy
Craven.
The yellow flag is out.
And Troy gets 10th. That brings out the stage caution, and we're finally able to take a breath here, Murph.
We are indeed. That is the end of Blackmagic Studios stage break number 2. Blackmagic Studios is a small operation dedicated to high quality iRacing paints and wraps. They'll do just about any car you can request. You can visit them on Discord or Facebook for your next iRacing paint. That's Blackmagic Studios. Catch them on Discord or Facebook. And again, I wouldn't read that out if I didn't think they do a good job. If you see me on the racetrack, my car is a Blackmagic Studios wrapped Dallara IR18. So, and that's not the most fun car that I have from them. Caleb, I went to run the Firecracker 400. I had never driven the 87 before, and David Dunwoody presented me with a special 87. It is not a Thunderbird. It's not a Monte Carlo. It's not a Pontiac or a Buick. It's the Hot Rod Lincoln. I got a Lincoln Mark 8 to drive in the Firecracker this year, so we'll bring that one out next year. It's a pretty cool looking car.
You talk about your Dollar 18. Sometimes it gets very confused with a lawn dart at Michigan sometimes, but a story for another time here.
It's not my fault. Lodato was sideways in front of me. I couldn't avoid him and got launched. You of course go on to win the nightlight. Um, I wind up junked. I finished last in the points, but that's okay. The Sim Gaming Expo is going to happen again next year in September. You going to make the trip again?
I've already got my tickets, Murph. Tickets actually on sale as of yesterday, yesterday they were on sale.
Well, how about that? I'm going to have to go buy my tickets. I need to reserve my motel room. Hopefully this year, the refreshment package gets a little bit more in contributions. I left Chicago very poor in the wallet, but much richer for the experience. That was a fun time, and I hope all of the guys that went last year, the open wheel community especially, we got to meet a lot of them guys, and I hope to see them again. We are under the caution for Blackmagic Studios stage break number 2. Rule Alvis, the winner of the stage. The strategy deployed one more time by Peyton Howell, Riley Lean, and Christian Light. They came in before the yellow light came on. Therefore, they will stay out and assume positions 1 through 3. Alvis, O'Donohue, Evans, Paul, Lean, Campbell, Carricker, Crow, and everybody on back, they are going to come in and get new tires. The lucky dog will belong to Brian Sharp. He is going to be waved around to get one of his 2 laps back. He is in 18th spot, and barring anything wild, that is where he is going to finish, because he'll be on his own lap. But here comes the field down the pit lane. Again, Howell, Lean, and Christian Light are going to stay out. That means that the winner of the race off of pit road, the winner of the race off of pit road is not going to be the leader of the race. There you see O'Donohue, Evans, and Rule Alvis pull in. They are going to restart 4th on back.
Yeah, and we'll see Greg Evans and Ryan O'Donohue fix the little bit of damage they got from the contact they had with each other earlier, going through that short shoot section onto the coming up to what is the back straightaway. Looks like they do not get that bodywork damage repaired, so they'll still circle around with a little bit of body damage. I don't think it will affect them too much. It was very light contact between the two.
Yeah, and look, I mean, you talk about repairing the nose. There you can see Greg Evans still got the center punch in the grill there. The thing about it is, these cars here are not aero. The aerodynamics don't make a whole huge big of a deal. They are not going to impact these cars all that much as we get down in the curb cam to kind of show the cars circulating around. There they are. There's the pace car. And you'll get a look at Greg Evans' nose as he comes by. He's going to be the 6th car in line. There it is. You see the damage. Looking for any other cars that have damage to the front. Don't see any. Didn't see anything on the driver's side of Ryan O'Donohue's car either. It is worth noting Christian Light did not come back in, and he is going to line up 10th. So he was that far behind that he winds up 10th on a restart and he didn't pit. Peyton Howell and Riley Lean are going to lead him back when we get back to green. Do want to thank series sponsor Outland Custom Arms. Outland Custom Arms is Outland Custom Arms. Their mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision-crafted firearms rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy. Every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. It is Outland Custom Arms. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1. We've got another big crowd here tonight, Caleb. Just went over 2,600, so thank you all, the fans in the stands, for tuning in. We do so very much appreciate you. We're going to be back tomorrow night for the AMA Outland Custom Arms Truck Series. At the same time, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start. They'll be at the Charlotte Roval. We've got a full slate of action this weekend as well. On Saturday at 1, you have one of the flagship broadcasts. It is the iRacing IndyCar Series. They're going to be at Sebring for their opening round. Sebring replaces St. Petersburg in the summer, so we'll see the IndyCars at Sebring 1 o'clock tomorrow. It's a triple header on Sunday. That'll begin with the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series. They're going to go off at 2 o'clock. We're going to have the Dark Horse CW12 Series presented by 4D Raceware at 8, and the Formula Super Series, that's going to be Super Formula Cars at Talladega. I'm interested to see that. They'll be at 8:20. Monday night, it's a doubleheader. The IndyCar Series top split, they're going to be from Phoenix. The Indy Next Road Series goes from the Adelaide Street Circuit. Tuesday night, it is the triple header. The IndyCar Oval Series at 7:15 from Texas Motor Speedway. That's Legacy, Texas. So they're going to be on the old scan. The Indy Next Oval Series will be at Pocono at 8:30 in the nightcap. It's the Area 51 IndyCar Series from Kansas at 9:30. Horizon is off this week, so it'll just be the Formula Super Series at Watkins Glen at 8:20. And then that brings us right back here for the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series, race number 4, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start at Phoenix. That'll be fun, Caleb. I like Phoenix. I like the old version of Phoenix better than the new one, but I do like Phoenix.
I'm gonna say some slanderous things that Gary might hate me for, but I do actually enjoy New Phoenix in the IndyCar. I actually do enjoy New Phoenix over the old configuration. To me, it just races slightly better as a driver, in my opinion.
I thought I heard you say that you liked it best in an IRO1, in a fake Formula One car.
No, I think the IRO1 on any short track just needs to be just needs to not exist.
We were messing around with that thing once. We were messing around with that thing once at Bristol, David Dunwoody and I, and we were going around Bristol in like 7 seconds. It was so fast that you remember when we went during the dark times when we took the Indy cars to North Wilkesboro and people were getting dizzy.
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
Imagine that on steroids. It was wild. I could only do about 10, 15 laps at a time, and literally had to park the car because in my rig I was getting dizzy. We're going to see a restart here. Peyton Howell, Riley Lean on the front row. They are on scuffed tires, is the way you should put it. Alvis O'Donoghue, Evans, and Sebastian Rodriguez are in hot pursuit as we go back to green flag action for the final stage. They're going to have 21 laps to decide it here at Circuit of the Americas. Green flag is out. Racing resumes.
Yeah, Payne Howell follows up with another great jump over the rest of the field. Raul Alves looking up the inside of the 26 there. He's able to get that second place spot. Meanwhile, we have a spin. That is the 60 at the top of the hill, but he immediately gets pointed back straight in the right direction. Raul Alves, like I said, up into the second position there.
We're going to stay with this. We're going to stay with this wide shot for one lap just to make sure that we don't miss anything. That was Lee Campbell around at the top of the hill, and that really hurt Sam Crow and David Dunwoody. Those three cars were inside the top 10. They're now 15th, 16th, and 17th. As we head down the back straight one more time, Peyton Howell leads Alvis, Lean, O'Donoghue, and Evans, your top five. Kendall Paul is in 7th, Sebastian Rodriguez 6th, John Houchins 8th, Andrew Jones 9th, And Troy Carricker clinging to that 10th spot. Caleb, he and Andrew Jones. I think it might be the two that have had the most eventful days. I think both of those cars have been around twice. They've each spun each other, and yet here they are battling for a top 10 as we head for the final 20 laps.
Troy Carricker gaining 3 spots already since the restart. He started in 14th at the end of the stage on the restart here. He's already back up into 11th. He started the race in 8th.
Whoa, say hey, Lewis Hayes around. Say hey, Lewis Hayes goes around. He had been running in the 13th spot. And that looked like he got tagged, and we're going to go back and see what has gone on with Say Hey Lewis Hayes. He may not have got tagged. He may have just gone around all by himself, cold tires being what they are. Here's Lewis Hayes. Was it rear lock, or was it the wheel hop, or it was just too... I think that was too much on the loud pedal on exit there, Caleb.
It does seem to be a little bit of loud pedalness.
Whoa! Ryan O'Donoghue hard in the back of Riley Lean. Lean off in the Toolies. Ryan O'Donoghue goes to third. He's got Greg Evans inside him. Now Evans is going to be third. O'Donoghue, well, maybe they're going to go side by side. And here comes Sebastian Rodriguez. He's gone into fifth. And Carly, your prediction has come true. What in the world has gone on here? I looked up and I saw, the 26 got sideways coming out of 6B. O'Donoghue didn't have anywhere to go and just runs square in the back of him. Thankfully for Riley Lean, he kept everything straight. It results in some additional damage for Ryan O'Donoghue. So now he matches teammate Greg Evans. O'Donoghue, if you're one of his mechanics there, Caleb, I'm looking at the left side. It doesn't appear as though you'll have to fix that one, but everything else has been on that number 14 Chevrolet. He soldiers on in third. Greg Evans has a punched-in nose. He's fourth. Sebastian Rodriguez is fifth. Kendall Paul is sixth, and that dropped Riley Lean back to seventh.
Sebastian Rodriguez almost spun on the apex there going through turn number 1, but it is still Ryan O'Donoghue and Greg Evans leading this pack. Meanwhile, Raw Office has kind of just left this pack, apart. That kind of separated the field. And I don't want to say it, but it looks like Raw Office is gaining just a little bit on our leader, Peyton Howe, here.
He did 2 laps ago. The last lap, he lost all of it. It's about 3 seconds from Hal to Aldis, and then another 3 seconds back to Ryan O'Donoghue. And O'Donoghue is leading the train. He's got Greg Evans, Sebastian Rodriguez, Kendall Paul, Riley Lean in tow. And then I want to highlight somebody for you, and that's the 8th place runner, John Houchins. Houchins is the points leader entering today's event. Houchins is definitely what I would describe as an oval track guy. He's not somebody that you see a lot in road course races. He may do some of the big time endurance races, but that's about it. John Houchins, how about it? He has soldiered along. He stayed out of trouble. We have not called him around, or we've not called him going around. We haven't called him running over anybody. We haven't called him getting run over. He's been on an island, and he's hanging right out in 8th place, and that's exactly what he needs to do to stay in this points race, Caleb.
Yeah, that's the most important thing in a championship like this. No more playoffs, so every race matters here. So we do have a chase here, but every race just plays a little bit more important. So every race, you want to get as much points as you can. So John Hutchins is doing that here, running inside the top 10, and just being consistent is what is going to get this championship for John Hutchins if he's able to continue these good results here.
Yeah, and we'll continue to follow that story, but we really need to follow is Sebastian Rodriguez. He's fallen away from Evans and O'Donoghue, but he is under all sorts of duress in the form of Kendall Paul and Riley Lean. And Riley Lean, if you remember, restarted this deal in the 2nd spot. He got passed by Peyton Howe, and then he had some troubles At the top, he had some troubles at 6B. He got clouded off the course by O'Donoghue. Nothing O'Donoghue did wrong. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So Lean has fallen back to seventh, and he has run very well here. He's been inside the top five all day, Caleb. Riley Lean is not done, and this is where the fun is going to be, I believe, in this final stage.
Well, not only there, but as well as back, you got Andrew Jones, Alan Seagerwalt, Sam Crow, Crash Neon, that entire group. They're still going at it in the background there. That has been a good battle all day. Kind of two different groups prevailing at different times in terms of just great battles on track. First stage, it was kind of the, Ryan O'Donoghue, Raul Abbas, Greg Evans, and Riley Lean in the first stage, and then the second stage it was that incredible battle between Crash Neon, Lee Campbell, Sam Crow, David Dunwoody, and all those guys. So we see a bit of a mixture at the moment. Obviously, we're green to the end, no green flag pit stops, at least planned green flag pit stops at the moment for any of these drivers. So they're green to the end, and they just need to push as hard as they can and manage their stuff.
We just saw Troy Carricker. He has come to the pit lane and he is under repair. Troy Carricker had a off, is the best way I can describe it. He had a massive off at 6B, slid into the tire wall and crunched the front of that car pretty good. So he is on the pit lane. A minute 45 under repair and counting. Ted Craven is also in the pit lane and he is 17 minutes in his pit box. So a tough break for Troy Carricker. And Carricker had been running with a shot at the top five. And now Riley Lean is trying to go around Sebastian Rodriguez. Kendall Paul has gotten through, and the battle is between Lean and Rodriguez for P6. Lean goes through on the inside, and he will go to that sixth spot. Your leader, as it has been for most of the evening, Caleb, is Peyton Howell. He has built nearly a 6-second advantage over this man, Raul Alvis. Alvis in second. Ryan O'Donoghue is third. He has pulled away just about a second over teammate Greg Evans in fourth. So there's Ryan and Greg. They have matching damage to the front of their Chevrolets. In fifth, it's Kendall Paul. Kendall Paul doesn't have a mark on that Ford Mustang, and he is fifth. He is currently being chased by Riley Lean, who we just saw pass Sebastian Rodriguez in seventh. John Houchins, the points leader, is in eighth. Ninth is Andrew Jones. He seems to have hit everything but the pace car this evening, Caleb, but he runs along in ninth, and we haven't mentioned this name tonight, but he has very quietly and very sneakily got himself into the top 10. That is Alan Steigerwald.
Yeah, the field seems to be pretty spread out at the moment here, Murph. Not really a lot of battles besides Greg Evans and Ryan O'Donoghue, the teammates, going through the double horseshoe complex. They're trying to get on Raul Abbas, but the field seems to be pretty spread out compared to the previous two stages here, Murph.
Yeah, we just looked at Crash Neon running 11th. There's Sam Crow in 12th. They're relatively close together. Lee Campbell is 13th, and you got to go back a ways, some 8 seconds, to David Dunwoody in 14th. Say hey, Lewis Hayes. He remains on the lead lap. If there's a caution that flies, say hey, Lewis Hayes is going to be right back in this. Same for Christian Light. Although Light is now on the pit lane, and he has been there in his box for nearly a minute. Brian Sharp is 17th. He soldiers along, one lap down. There isn't much on that 125 car that isn't damaged, Caleb. But Christian Light's just retired. So that means Brian Sharp, just by virtue of staying out and circulating, has a chance to run, is going to run 16th here. And if anybody else falls out, Brian Sharp has a chance to be 15th. So that tells you that perseverance will pay off in some ways. Troy Carricker has gotten back out. He is 3 laps down. And there goes Carricker. And he is a championship contender. Carricker, again, Caleb, if he can just make some laps, he's going to pick up a spot on Christian Light. But he is most assuredly, he's waiting now for the field to go by. He's just going to go out and circulate. Again, if he can make 4 laps, he's going to pick up a spot. on Christian Light. Ted Craven is still in the pit lane. He is under repair in 19th. He's been in the pit lane for nearly 20 minutes, and that'll bring us back to this battle with Ryan O'Donoghue and Greg Evans. It is the closest action on the course, and it has not lightened up, Caleb.
No, it has not. The two teammates have been nose to tail for the entire duration of the race. Ryan O'Donoghue currently prevailing over Greg Evans, and that gap will probably be about the same. They seem to have been running the same exact pace the entirety of the day, but both cars are a have seen some battle scars, we'll say. Ryan O'Donoghue having a little bit more than Greg Evans, and unfortunately they had a bit of a coming together earlier. So, but both cars slightly damaged, but they're still chugging along here, Murph.
Oh, how about that? I'm looking at the right side of Ryan O'Donoghue's car. How about that? A side they don't have to fix. Little Days of Thunder humor for you. Little Days of Thunder here humor for you there, Caleb. I'd pull it in and have you fix it, but you're probably busy eating ice cream.
It ain't mint chocolate chip ice cream, I guarantee you that.
I was always, there are quirks about any person, and one of my quirks is I don't eat a lot of candy, like chocolate. If I do eat candy, it Skittles. I don't really eat ice cream all that much. I'm an ice cream sandwich every once in a while. Every once in a while, I have an ice cream sandwich. Had a had a had a priest in my much younger days, Father Kenny Herr, the chaplain at Memorial High School in Evansville, told me, Murphy said you ought to have a vice that you don't have. So you need to pick something that you won't do and start there. And for me, it was candy. I just don't eat candy. How about that? I bet you didn't know that. Now everybody
No, I did
knows.
not, Murph. No,
Now
I did.
everybody. Now,
I
now,
learned something every day from.
and now it's all over the World Wide Web, so everybody knows that I don't eat very much candy. Every so often, I'll treat myself to a bag of Skittles. But that's about it. Ryan O'Donoghue continues ahead here over Greg Evans. Continues to be the best battle on the course. Maybe next to that, you've got John Houchins and Andrew Jones, 8th and ninth. Houchins has the 8th spot. Andrew Jones, who is, if he hasn't hit the pace car yet, they ought to throw the yellow to give him a chance to do it. He's taken Justin Osterman's place and been Mr. Excitement in this one. Osterman ran out of iRacing, I'm told, and so he's waiting to renew his subscription to the service so that he can rejoin us. But Houchins just, he's soldiering along. He's going to take what he gets, and I bet if Andrew Jones gets there, Houchins is not going to fight.
Never say never, Murph. It almost looked like Andrew Jones was going to cut the entire S's section going through that left-hander there. But John Hutchins kind of just prevailed a little bit, kind of kept it clean, and now he finds himself in the 8th position, prevailing over Andrew Jones, who has been consistently in and out of the top 10 for the duration of the day. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, Alan Steigerwald is just kind of lurking on and gaining a little bit of time over the two in front of him.
Yes, he is. John Houchins has pulled away just a little bit over Andrew Jones. Jones had a little bit of trouble there through the S's, and so Andrew Jones has dropped back just a little bit. Let's have a look in on Crash Neon and Lee Campbell. Neon running in the 12th spot. He's got Lee Campbell behind him. It's been a bit of a runaway at the front of the field. Peyton Howell, Raul Alvis, Ryan O'Donoghue, all separated by several seconds. Greg Evans has fallen just about a second behind O'Donoghue, and then Kendall Paul is 6.5 seconds behind Evans. But there are battles throughout the field, and so rather than show just the leaders circulate, we want to try to give our audience, and there's a lot of them tuned it in, Caleb. we want to let them have some good racing. Andrew Jones is now right on the rear of John Hutchins through turn number one. He's going to get to the inside. Can he make it stick? He gets sideways, and Hutchins, as we've seen so many times, just drives right on around Andrew Jones. Excuse me.
We mentioned slow is fast, and sometimes that's just what you need to do in these big old stock cars. They make a lot of horsepower, and it's easy to make a mistake in here. John Hutchins has just kind of been fast by not making too many mistakes. He's kind of driven at a very steady pace, been pretty consistent on not making too many mistakes, and he's able. That's the reason why he's able to stay ahead of Andrew Jones at the moment. And as I say that, he goes a bit wide. Andrew gets a really good run out of the corner through turn 12.
But he's out of position for turn 13, so he's going to be forced to fall back in line behind Houchins, excuse me. Houchins continues to hold down that eighth spot, and I had thought, and Alan Steigerwald is going to get involved in this battle here pretty shortly, but I had thought that if Jones catches Houchins, that he would, say, okay, I don't want to take a trip off the front bumper of Andrew Jones. I'll just let discretion play the better part of valor and let him go on his way. Houchins has stood and fought here as they come to get 10 laps to go, or excuse me, 11 laps to go. He stood and fought, and Jones has not been able to get by despite having several shots. He's going to take another one when they come up to the top of the hill here toward turn number one.
Yeah, John just kind of not really holding the inside completely, just kind of gets in the middle there. Andrew Jones kind of looking towards that back bumper here, but John Hutchins gets a really nice exit going off turn one, gets a really nice wide entry going through turn two. That's going to allow him to carry a lot of speed going into the S as Andrew Jones still looking onwards, trying to get around John Hutchins going through the S's section. It's weird because they take so different lines and yet they're doing the very similar pace to each other, Murph.
Yeah, let's check out those lines. So we're going to hop up in the P1 airship. We're going to zoom the camera out and watch the difference between Houchins and Jones, and even Steigerwald when he sneaks into the picture as to how they're running these corners. Now, some of them they're going to be the same because there's really only one effective way to get through some of these. But see how Houchins swings out a lot wider and takes a lot more of an early entry than Jones through some of these technical corners, whereas Jones seems to want to hold it a lot wider. He does that through the 15, 16, 17 complex there. Wants to hold it a lot tighter to the curbs. Houchins goes out a lot wider, keeps the momentum up. Also, Andrew Jones is braking a lot later than John Houchins, if you notice, too, Caleb.
Yeah, John's kind of doing what what SVG does in the Cup Series. A lot of drivers will say in the Cup Series they are able to outbrake SVG going into a braking zone, but the way he's able to get back on power, that's what we're able to see, and we're seeing with John Hutchins as he's on the outside of Andrew Jones. Andrew sends it really, really deep. John gets his switchback on him, and John's able to hold the position there going through turn number two.
Yeah, that was the old Clindy Cindy going up the inside for Andrew Jones. But as we've seen time and again, if you overcook the entry, you're going to slide wide late. And the guy that got on the binders early is going to get a great run off. John Houchins, I keep wanting to say his name wrong, will continue in the 8th spot. He's withstood every charge from Andrew Jones so far, and all that's done is allowed Alan Steigerwald to close down on these two while they're battling. They're slowing each other down, and they have lost a ton of time to Steigerwald in 10th, and this is about to become a three-way fight for the 8th spot.
Murph, if this battle continues, I've been eyeing Sam Crow in the background, and Sam Crow is gaining a little bit. He didn't last time around, but he has been gaining every lap up until then. If they keep fighting like this, it might eventually, in a few laps' time, maybe not a few laps' time, but maybe in towards the end of the race, become a four-car battle for this 8th position here. Meanwhile, they go side by side through the final quarter. John Hutchins on the outside. Andrew Jones goes on the inside. Alan Steigerwald able to get the cutback, and they might go 3 wide on the front straightaway here, Murph.
Yeah, they're looking like it. Steigerwald tried to make the dive. He lit up the rear tires going through turn number 20. He's to the inside of Houchins. Andrew Jones has gone through. Houchins is able to get the measure of Steigerwald, and he's going to get that great run down the hill and into the S's. And one more time, we'll jump up in the blimp. But Andrew Jones is now clear of John Houchins and has claimed that 8th spot. Houchins 9th, and he has got all sorts of problems when it comes with Alan Steigerwald, because I think Steigerwald might be the fastest of the three at this particular point in the race, Caleb.
Yeah, Steigerwald was behind these two in front, and now he wants around them. But he's kind of been playing a little bit patient there, except for that little final corner there. He got a good run on the exit, maybe possibly just wheel spun, wind shifting up through the gears. But now he wants around the two drivers because he probably knows he's faster than them at the moment. We see him gain a lot of time on both Jones and Hutchins. And now he's right on the rear bumper of Hutchins as they go through turn number 15.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Caleb. I mean, you know, how much if you're Houchins, if you're Steigerwald, how much are you thinking about how much of a wild card Andrew Jones has been in this race? Jones has definitely risen to 8th place on merit, but he's also been involved in quite a bit of contact in this one. Is that something that you're weighing if you're Alan Steigerwald or John Houchins?
Kind of depends on the situation, really. I mean, he hasn't really had many contact with John, with either two drivers behind, so maybe they might be less aware of it as we see John Hutchins go a little bit wide through turn 1. Typically, I am a race how they want to race you type of person. If you want to race clean, I'll race clean with you. If you want to throw a bumper, I'll throw a bumper on you. So whether or not John or Alan want to have that same mentality as I do when it comes to these races, we'll see in due time. But at the moment, I wouldn't think a second. I would just try to gain as much time on Andrew as I could if I was in this situation.
Now, to be fair, that's a reputation you don't want, right? You know, race drivers have very long memories. iRacers are the same. You know, you remember a guy that hit you 2 years ago. I still remember my first IndyCar Oval Championship, which I only won because Alexandre Regan got into a wreck with his teammate, and I made the pass that took the championship away from his other teammate while Regan was on his lid. And so that accident only happened because I knew the propensity of that particular driver to be hyper aggressive. I let him go and was rewarded when he hit the next guy up the road. We're watching Steigerwald on Houchins, and so that does play into your mindset if there's a guy that's got a reputation for using the bumpers, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely does. Steigerwald looking up the inside, going through turn number 1, but Hutchins is on that outside line, gets a really nice exit, and is able just to prevail over Steigerwald going through turn number 1 as he's done so many times already.
Now, the reason we're showing the battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th is this. Peyton Howell is 14 seconds up the road in the lead. Ryan O'Donoghue, Greg Evans are all separated. There are no other cars that are within 1 second of each other in the field. This is by far the best battle on the track, and it's really the only battle on the track. I think Alan Steigerwald cooked the tires a little bit. He's going to have to drop back behind John Houchins and cool those babies off, and he went really wide through turn 13 there.
He did indeed. It looks like Andrew Jones. I'll need to compare to lap times, but he is gaining on the 98 in front of Sebastian Rodriguez. It's about a 6-second gap, and the lap time difference was about half a second. So Andrew's really going to have to put the pedal down if he wants to try to get in our position before this race is over.
Yeah, it's not over yet, and now we've seen some separation. I think Steigerwald has run the good off of his tires, and so we're going to check back in with leader Peyton Howe. He is 15 seconds up on Raul Alvis. He's got, I believe, the car of David Dunwoody immediately ahead of him. That is David Dunwoody, and so um, lap traffic for Peyton Howell. He's been able to navigate that pretty successfully thus far. Caleb, he's been able to fend off any challenge as they've arisen, and he seems to be on his way to a dominant victory here at Circuit of the Americas on the NASCAR short course. Howell is going to come around turn 20, and he's got 5 circuits to go. In second, Raul Alvis took advantage of contact between teammates Ryan O'Donoghue and Greg Evans. Alvis slipped by into the second spot, and he is driven away some 5 seconds from Ryan O'Donoghue as he puts a lap on Say Lewis Hayes. Ryan O'Donoghue is third, and there he is coming off of turn 20. He has built a 2 second, now 3 second lead over Greg Evans. O'Donoghue is clinging to that final podium spot. Greg Evans is fourth. There he is in the familiar deuce and magic on the side of that automobile. Riley Lean is fifth. Lean at one point second, ran wide at 6B, ran off the course, ran back to seventh place. He's quietly driven himself back up into fifth. Kendall Paul is sixth, and there's Kendall in the 78 Outland Custom Arms machine. Archway Industrial Coatings, track racer all over, emblazoned on that number 78. So there he is. Sebastian Rodriguez at one point ran as high as fifth. He is back down to the seventh spot, and he is some 5 seconds, almost 6 seconds clear of Andrew Jones in the 46. We watched him pass John Hutchins. He's driven away from Hutchins in ninth, and Alan Steigerwalt has fallen back from Hutchins. Steigerwalt runs in 10th. Sam Crow, the charge is still on. He's 7/10 of a lap quicker than Alan Steigerwalt. The problem for Sam Crow is he's 4 seconds behind Alan Steigerwalt. And so, given the number of laps left, Sam Crow would not be able to catch Steigerwalt. He is currently in 11th. Lee Campbell's had his share of fun tonight. He is 12th. So too Crash Neon in 13th. And Neon is the final car on the lead lap, Caleb. He's a minute and 17 seconds off of leader Peyton Howe. And so for Crash Neon, it's just about trying to stay on the lead lap at this point. David Dunwoody is the first car one lap down in 14th. Say Hey Lewis Hayes is 15th as he lets Ryan O'Donoghue go through. No doubt he'll let Greg Evans do the same. Those are team cars. Brian Sharp continues to circulate in 16th. I don't believe there is a side that they're not going to have to fix on that 125. It is pretty beat up, but Brian Sharp continues to circulate. So too Troy Carricker, 5 laps down. Carricker is 17th, but he's made up 2 spots by bringing that car back out onto the course. And those are the 17 runners as we get back to Peyton Howe. And it's just about all over but the shouting as Peyton Howe comes back. He has 3 laps to go.
Yeah, it's just absolute dominance that we have seen from Payne Howe today. I think he's led all but about 3 laps here, 3 or 4 laps, and that was, of course, he pitted earlier, right before the stage ended. That way, when the stage restarted, he could be out in front. So he's clearly will lead the most laps led here today. So as he's got a solid, probably 18-second lead coming across the line here over Raul Alvis. And we've seen him do very, very well in the first 2 rounds. we see him do well in the Truck Series races, and it looks like it's just going to be another dominant performance from Payne Howell here today.
It is indeed, and so too Ro Alvis. I mean, those two have been the class of the field. O'Donoghue and Evans have been the class of the rest. And then you get back to Riley Lean, and really, we've had chances, right? Peyton Howell went off on an alternate strategy. So did Riley Lean. So there have been chances um, to get after Peyton Howell. He did not win either of the first two stages. Those went to those went to other drivers. But Peyton Howell has proven that he's able to drive away from people even with tires that have a couple 3 laps on them, Caleb. And it's just been such a dominating performance. There's not really much else you can say about it. He works through the 15, 16, 17 complex. He's going to come by to get 2 laps to go, and Peyton Howell continues to cruise toward a commanding victory here. There's Howell again at the top of the hill. Let's check back in with, let's see. There's nobody really close. That's the thing. There's Ro Alvis. We'll let him have his time in the limelight. Alvis currently runs second. He won the second stage, and he's kind of, he's been he got through O'Donoghue and Evans. I wonder if the damage on O'Donoghue and Evans is slowing them up fractionally, and that's why they haven't been able to stay with Alvis. But he got past those two damaged cars and has driven off in the SimShop number 23.
Yeah, he is, and you saw him originally, I believe, at the beginning of the stage, being behind Ryan O'Donoghue and Greg Evans, and Ryan and Greg have gotten into each other and had a couple incidents with not only each other but with our drivers as well. And Raw Alvis has just been able to capitalize on those incidents, and now he's pulled nearly a 10-second gap over the two teammates here, and they have another 10-second gap over Riley Lean. This we got a very chaotic first two stages, or a very entertaining first two stages, and this third one has just kind of been a little bit more spread out as we come to the white flag with Peyton Howell.
Yeah, there is Peyton Howell. He's crossed the line. He's got the white flag from Barney. He is less than 2 minutes from Pater, and that's the first time we've seen him even make something that resembles anything close to a mistake. He locked the left front going into turn number one. Peyton Howell now goes down through the S's. He'll make the left-hander at turn 6, and he is going to come through with a big-time win here at Circuit of the Americas. Howell makes the left at 6B, and he'll go on toward the stadium portion of the course. You see the flagman in the background waving his white flag at the end of the backstretch. That is traditional to have a flagman on the back here. And Howell is not sparing the rod. He's still flogging that machine for all he can. You saw him get kind of sideways there at turn 8. So he is not or turn 14 rather. He's not light footing this thing around.
No, he is not. Sometimes you see drivers just take it really easy with these really large gaps, but some drivers just want to put the hammer down on the final lap and see what lap they are able to do at the end of the city. You know you don't have to save tires, but Payne Howell just leaving it all out there in this number 52. He comes around the second to final corner. He's going to round the final left-hander onto the front straightaway, And he's going to get the win here, Murph.
He will indeed. And now we're going to do the thing we always do on P1. We're going to wait for everybody to cross the line because, in my estimation, if you finish a race like this, that's an accomplishment, let alone where. Raul Alves is something like 20 seconds behind, and here he comes. He's going to flash underneath Barney, who continues to wave that flag with enthusiasm. Alves goes through in second. Ryan O'Donoghue is going to come through in third. There he is. Greg Evans will be flagged off in fourth. David Dunwoody has been flagged in 14th. There's Riley Lean in fifth. Kendall Paul will be sixth. We probably ought to go back and take a look at Peyton Howe and see what he's doing to celebrate his victory. There he is. Peyton Howe, a dominant performance. We are still awaiting finishers. There's John Houchins. He's coming through. Andrew Jones will finish. Alan Steigerwalt is through, so too say Hey Lewis Hayes, Troy Carricker. Waiting on Lee Campbell, Crash Neon, and Brian Sharp to file across the start-finish line. There is Lee Campbell, Crash Neon, and where has Brian Sharp gone? There he is. So everybody has now finished. Your winner tonight is Peyton Howe, and here is your Rogue Energy winning moments. Go to rogueenergy.com and use promo code AMA24. You get 10% off of your order. rogueenergy.com, promo code AMA24, and you get 10% off your order. You need to pick me up. rogueenergy.com has you covered. He does the donuts. Peyton Howe is your winner. Raul Alves second. Ryan O'Donoghue brings it home. The final step of the podium. Greg Evans, Riley Lean, Kendall Paul, Sebastian Rodriguez, Andrew Jones, John Hutchins, and Alan Steigerwalt round out your top 10. In 11th, Sam Crow, Lee Campbell, 12th, Crash Neon, 13th, David Dunwoody, 14th. Say Hey Lewis Hayes is 15th, Brian Sharp, Troy Character, Christian Light, Ted Craven, and Eric Porter round out your top 20 in 21st. Randy Dunlap, Barry Seaman, 22nd. Keith Cram is 23rd. Dylan Blankenship, Donald Green, Andrew Gates, and Blake Edwards are the remainder of your starting field, and that is a very happy Peyton Howe. Very happy indeed. There he is. He's done the donuts. He's burned them down, Caleb. He's got our parts on the start-finish line. Great run tonight, Peyton Howe. All right. We are all set and ready to go. Let's see who we've got in the interview booth. Let's bring in Ryan O'Donoghue. Ryan O'Donoghue, you've got Murph and you've got Caleb Brashear in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. What's going on, boys?
Well, so you broke rule one. You and Greg ran into each other. Probably ought to work on that. But what about the pace from Peyton Howe was it tonight that just had you guys fighting for second?
Yeah, I don't know. We had the same pace last year. We were running 140 flat, so just still getting a feel for this new setup. Everything that goes along with it is a little different for me. I knew where I was slower. I knew where I was trying to make up time. Just haven't had enough laps in the new setup to get it just right, like where we were last year. But Yeah, Greg actually straightened us out there, so it kind of worked out.
Yes, I was
We both ended up with a little bit of damage from it, but no harm, no foul.
I was gonna say you both decided he had damage on the front from a different incident. You then got matching, or you had damage on the front, I believe, from a different incident, and then he got matching damage. So at least at least your two cars matched. Um, but even still, right? Third place in one of these
Yeah.
is nothing to sneeze at. You pick up a lot of points toward that, and I know that's your ultimate goal. Caleb, what do you have for Ryan O'Donoghue this evening?
So the first two races of the season, I would call them lottery races because you're kind of gambling on if you can even make it to the end of the race with two plate tracks. And then you go to a road course. Now, the next track is Phoenix, which to me is kind of where the true season starts. This is where we start to see, a lot of these drivers see their talents. How are you looking towards Phoenix and getting the rest of this season oval season started?
Yeah, it's weird the way these seasons start off. It's collectively just a crapshoot. Two super speedways and a road course. But I knew we could get some stage points here this week and fill the bucket up. But going towards Phoenix, I think we ran good there last year. Both races didn't quite end the way we wanted it to last year. But they knew we were there. So looking forward to Phoenix. Then going forward, yeah, we're just trying to do what we can for points, and I think we're all looking forward to it. I know a couple of guys have had a tough race here on as far as DVD goes, but it's a long season. Looking forward to it.
Eye on the prize, Ryan. Eye on the prize. You've been up here enough. You know the drill. Friends, family, sponsors, shout them out.
Yes, sir. Girlfriend as always goes first. She's watching from home. DVD Motorsports. All my guys. Greg and I had a good little battle there, and this one. John, always got to mention John here. We're doing this for him. Um, it's not a win, but we got to mention him. So I know he meant a lot to a lot of people, and I'm kind of got picked up by these guys and didn't really know the whole story or know them too well, but I did race with them a couple times and always thinking of them here. So everybody else, Mass Circle Supply, Heatwave Visual, 80K Karting, Sim Magic, SimShop, AMA, Kendale and all his admins put on a great show here. Archway Industrial Coatings, Black Magic Studios, Track Racer, Rogue Energy, admin backs, and you guys in the booth. Love watching these broadcasts back. We've been on a roll with you guys here in these two series. So looking forward to the rest of the year and hope we're up here again soon.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for stopping in. Ryan, keep going fast, having fun, buddy, and we'll see you at the next one.
Yes, sir. Catch you guys later.
Absolutely. That's Ryan O'Donoghue. For P2, we're going to bring in Raul Alvis. Raul, you got Murphy, you got Caleb Brashear in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here.
So you saw the two teammates get in a bit of a kerfluffle or a schmozzle, if you will, in front of you. You took advantage. You got by and drove off. Do you think you could have got him even without the smash up there?
Um, most definitely. I kind of knew I was faster. They obviously beat me stage one. I was essentially trying to figure the tire, the braking points. So really, once I got ahead of them and I had that like 1 little second gap, I backed up my pace, which was still like way slower than Peyton's, but I still backed it up. And I was kind of like able to save tires. So yes, I do think I still would have had him, but it wouldn't have been as easy of a pass as when they both kind of scuffled up, for sure.
Caleb?
I talked about this a little bit with Ryan about the upcoming situation with, we start off with two play tracks, we go to a road course, and then now we're going to go to Phoenix next week. You picked up some crucial stage points here, getting that second stage win with Peyton pitting early. Just from your point of view, do you feel like in the end that was a smart decision on Peyton's end, giving up those stage points to try to get a better run in the end, even though he was going to cycle out front after all the pit cycle under stage caution? Do you think it was important for him to pit under caution and give up those stage points, or in the long run?
Um, I mean, he had his little issues going, which I'm sure he'll talk about it. I mean, there was a reason why he pitted. So I can essentially have him elaborate on that. As far as like points go, it wasn't the right thing, but as far as like the reason he pitted, it was the right thing. So I see why he did it. But that's really more for him to kind of go deeper into that, not steal his interview.
Well, Raul, you finished second. With the podium comes the microphone. Friends, family, sponsor, shout them out. Good looking hot rod you got. So go ahead, my friend. Floor is yours.
Yeah. Yeah, big thanks to Delta Sport, obviously SimShop, sponsor, anything you guys need, hit us up. I really, really wanted to win the race just because it was the SimShop 250. And then also big thanks to Blake from Full Speed Sim Coaching. I was actually like 6 seconds off the pace. He really like helped me out today, sent me a couple videos. So I was able to like pick up like 4 or 5 seconds just from like watching what he was doing. So honestly, I would have not finished second if it wasn't for him. So go to fullspeedsimcoaching.com. If it wasn't for him, I definitely wouldn't have finished second. So big thanks to him, Delta Sport, SimShop, you guys, the league. I mean, everybody. I don't know, my neighbor's dog. I don't know. It just thanks everybody, I guess.
Very good. Got to get in the neighbor's dog, man. Everybody loves the next door neighbor that has the dog, right? Keep going fast, having fun, buddy, and we'll see you at the next one. All right.
Yep.
Absolutely. That is Ro Alvis. He is your middle step of the podium. And for the winner, in dominant fashion, Peyton Howell takes apart the field tonight at Circuit of the Americas. The only question I have for you, Peyton, is it was a clinic from start to finish. Did you ever get bored?
Uh, there at the end, I was kind of bored. I kept messing up turn one because I was like zoning out on the front stretch and listening to other people talk in the Discord instead of paying attention to what I was doing. But other than that, it was kind of stressful there at the first stage because I got damaged and I started blowing up, and so we had to short pit and take the damage there. That's really the only time I felt like I was worried about really anything the whole night.
Caleb?
So you talked about the end of stage one. You had to short pit because of that little bit of damage, and then you went ahead and did with stage two. Do you think that will end up mattering in the end with the championship points, giving up stage points for track position?
Well, I'm not running this league. I'm not running the Xfinity series full time, so I was just here to win. And so it didn't really matter to me if I got stage points or not. I just wanted to be the leader and control the restarts. So I didn't get run into on a restart, and it seemed like the field did a pretty good job getting through turn one. But yeah, I'm not doing this for points, so it was just all about winning tonight.
There you go. That would have been the other question I had. But you answered it, Peyton, and thank you so much for dropping in. You win the race, you get the mic. Friends, family, sponsors, shout them out.
Yeah, I got to thank everybody for watching, and y'all for putting on the broadcast. Kendall for putting on this league. It's really fun to race these guys, and I got to thank Unrivaled Innovations, Icon Apparel, Celsius, Nerditudes, Race Stop Suicide, everybody that's helped me get good at road courses, and yeah, we'll go try to kick some butt tomorrow night at Charlotte as well.
Absolutely, Peyton. Well, thank you so much for stopping in. Go celebrate, my friend. Keep going fast and having fun.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That is Peyton Howe. He is the winner this evening, and I don't know, Caleb. It's been a long time since I've personally seen a driver absolutely dominate a race like that. And if he's trying to improve his road course skills, I don't know how that bodes for the field tomorrow. I do know that the Charlotte Roval is a lot different of a kettle of fish than this. It's a lot tighter. There's a lot more tight corners. It's a lot more compact, and we call this a bull ring of a short track. But Charlotte is even more so.
I would, as I would say, I'm on a different ideal mindset with how Charlotte races. It allows opportunities to go side by side a lot more frequently, in my point of view. It is very much tighter than it is here at COTA, but there are areas where you're able to go side by side. Whereas you have the S's here, you have the double horseshoe, even like the short shoe section, it's hard and tricky to get side by side. Whereas the Roval, you have the entirety of banking, you can get really good runs off corners. You're able to go through side by side for most of the center section. So I think we'll see a little bit different style of how the road course is going to be at Charlotte compared to here, because you're able to stay side by side a lot longer throughout the duration of the lap.
Indeed, you are. Charlotte can be a little bit more racy, and if you want to see racy, we've got you covered right here on P1. Tomorrow night, it's the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series, live from the Charlotte Roval 823 race, 8:35 start. On Saturday, we've got the 2026 iRacing IndyCar Series, Round 1, presented by 4D Racewear. That's going to be live at 1 o'clock. On Sunday, we've got a triple header. It's the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series at 2, the Dark Horse CW12 Series presented by 4D Raceway at 8, and the Formula Super Series will get going. Super Formula cars from Talladega, and that's one I'm going to be tuned into for sure. IndyCar Open Series Monday night at Phoenix is going to kick off Championship Monday. That's going to be at 7. They're going to be followed by the Indy Next Road Series live from Adelaide at 8:30. On Tuesday, the championship nights continue. It's the IndyCar Oval Series Tuesday night top split. They'll kick off the triple header at 7:15. The Indy Next Oval Series will go at 8:30. They're going to be from Pocono, and it's the Area 51 IndyCar Series at Kansas with a nightcap, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, right here on P1. The Formula Super Series will take to Watkins Glen at 8:20 on Wednesday. The Horizon IndyCar Series is off this week. The AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series will be right back here, same time, same bad channel, 8:20 p.m. pre-race, 8:35, with the start from Phoenix, round 4, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start next Thursday, right here on P1. We do want to thank all of the fans in the stands for showing up. Another huge crowd here tonight at the AMA. We want to thank the drivers, the competitors, their friends and family for watching, but we also want to thank the people who really make it happen, the military, the police, the firemen, the EMTs driving the ambulance, and Caleb, the nurse that unloads you when they get you there. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you all. We will see you all tomorrow.